this past weekend. All right, check. Got me? There we go. Happy Monday.
Celebrate living. Celebrate
misery.
You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
All right, it's Monday, September 25th of the year 2017. And some people want to say that it's not autumn, okay? But it's autumn. It's fall. You know, this is winter's little mixed baby, you know? This is winter's little mixed baby. And this thing is nibbling at our nipples. I went outside yesterday, and I could feel Mother Nature being naughty. I could feel her licking at the ends of my limbs, at my elbows and my lips. I could feel that naughty little biatch tickling my whiskers. You know what I'm talking about? And that is autumn coming. That is Mother Nature showing off her fanciness. You know, she's hanging all her clothes out to dry. You know, the party's over, the skinny dipping and the swimming and the drinking lemonade and the summertime activities are over. And Mother Nature's about to shake them leaves off. And you could even hear birds being like, hey, motherfucker, it's about to get cold. And you see little birds that could be, that might not even make it through the winter. You see them trying to couple up with bigger birds that are going to be able to take care of them. You know, you'll see a sparrow trying to fuck a goose. Or you will see even a hummingbird, you know, trying to, you know, get in a little bit of, trying to get into some doggy style with a raven. You will see things like that because some of these smaller animals know that winter's coming. And that's all that's going on. Thank you guys for joining me. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited about this show today. I had a sidekick on last week, right? A lot of you listeners weren't happy about it. I understand. And he'll be back. He's going to pop back in later on today. We're going to try it in a little bit of a new facet. He's not here now. So that's going to be good. We're going to get into some other stuff. Oh, I got to tell you what happened to me. I got hair rejuvenation surgery. Hair rejuvenation surgery in my head with my own hair. And what it is they take part of your hair out of the back of your head. And look, I got enough hair for everybody. If you got a bald child out there or something, you know, I could make wigs for half of a St. Jude's commercial. I got enough hair coming off the back. And so a buddy of mine introduced me to this dude a while back, this doctor out here. And next thing you know, I'm in there talking to him and he's like, look, you should get the surgery. You should get the procedure. And I love surgery. I've always loved surgery since I was young. When I was young, I had a very small wiener, basically a wiener hole, the hole in your wiener, urethra or urethra. It's one of them. One of them's also a singer. I don't know who it is. One of them's I think a African-American mezzo-sopranist. But the urethra or the urethra, my hole basically on my wiener was too small. So when I would pee, I was peeing. I mean, I could pee I could pee almost maybe 45 feet. It was dumbfounding the distance that I could urinate. And so when I urinated, I would piss big on apple juice too. If I had apple juice, dude, I was basically a water gun. You know, I remember my brother I'd drink a bunch of apple juice and my brother would carry me around and I would basically just piss at my sisters. You know, because I was just like a weapon. But it became a strain on my body. It became like painful. And so they had to take me into the surgery area and they had to cut, recavernate, I guess, recavernate my penis hole. And so, and I don't know what the exact procedure is on that. I would look it up, but I don't want to get into my computer. I want to stay in my brain. So that's what I would do, man. I got that done when I was young. And then I swallowed all them quarters. They had to get the quarters out of me. I had a spine surgery a while back. May or may not have needed, but something about surgery and something about procedures, I think it's just the care or something when you're in there. When you wake up and suddenly there's people around and they want to know if you need anything. And I think when I was young, I just wanted that care. I wanted somebody to feel, local, and they come in. It just seems like, there's a couple people in the room you feel cared for. And that's what I liked about it. And so I went in, man, and people are like, dude, you don't need hair surgery. You don't need any hair transplantation. You're right. I don't need it. But I don't know if that's part of my, I don't feel like I have an addiction to surgeries. I don't. I like them. I like the, the rigmarole, the signing in, and then you're waiting, and then everybody's wearing the same outfits or same uniforms because of, you're in a medical facility. Everybody has on the little shoe. They put these little like shower caps on your shoes, and everybody wears the, same color stuff because they're doing a procedure. And next thing you know, I'm getting the hair taken out of the back of my head, put it in the front of my head. So that's what happened, man. I'm going to take you through that. I'll just take you through it right now. We're going to talk about the kneeling in the NFL a little bit. And then I'm going to have Ari Manis is going to be back here. And we are going to have him read some of the comments that people had to say about him. And I just want to kind of feel that out with him. I did commit to giving things a shot with him for a little bit. But I do realize that listeners want it to be just me and them as well. So I'm not bailing on having Ari in, but I'm not committing to it yet fully either. So we're just going to feel it out. And that's life. Sometimes you just have to feel things out. So anyhow, let me tell you about this hair procedure. So I had a friend that got hair. And I'd never even met this friend before. This was a new friend. So this was an inaugural friend. And I said to him, man, you got good hair. And he goes, well, I'll tell you this. He said, you see the hair on the front of my head? I said, yep. He goes, usually you can't see that hair unless you're standing behind me. And I'm thinking that, I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe this kid was raised in a fun house. His daddy's a magician. I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe he thinks maybe he's on acid. I don't know. But he ended up telling me that he got hair taken out of the back of his head, put into the front of his head. And it just blew my mind because it looked normal. You couldn't tell anything. So anyway, fast forward 2 years. I'm in the guy's office the other day, and he's like, let's get it. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I got the hair. And you sit down, you go in there, and first they run like a little bit of a woman's vibrator along your scalp. And it looks like a little vibrator almost for and this, I'm not trying to be profane, but like a baby. If a baby was being sensual, a female baby by themselves, and was using like a little vibrator thing, this is maybe the thing that they would use. And I'm not envisioning that while I'm saying it. If you're envisioning that, I don't recommend that. But I'm just telling you kind of what this little thing looked like. And he injects this stuff into the front of your head. And then he does the vibrator right over it so that it kind of like just alleviates a little bit of the pain. So they shoot you up in that forehead, dude. So my head was doused up. I'm sober, but my hairline was straight up drunk driving, son. I'm surprised I didn't wake up in another hairline's bed, you feel me? Between the sheets with another stranger hairline. So I got that. They put the injections in, and then next thing you know, they make you take 2 Xanaxes. You taking Xanax in the beginning. I've never been into pills. I've never been into prescription pills or anything like that. And people used to eat Xanaxes, and then their faces would get real skinny, and then they would have to leave town and get better. I remember that from growing up. But next thing you know, I'm a little bit woozy, and they turn me over. Oh, no. First, the doctor comes with this little tool, and he starts just pushing it into your head, right? And they start pushing it in your head. And literally, you can hear your head crunching, but you can't feel it. Is it awesome? It sounds like your brain is eating Special K or Frosted Flakes, like something like that. It sounds like your brain is eating cereal, you know, and just the first few bites, because it's crunchy. You just keep hearing this crunch, right? This crunch. So this guy just keeps crunching me up, crunching me up, crunching me up. So I'm getting straight crunched up by another man. And I've never really been involved in anything heavily homoerotic. But when you've had a man, and this was a beautiful man, I think maybe from Egypt or another country, when you've had a beautiful man like that, just put 500, 600 little bitty holes in your scalp, that must count for beyond sex. That's because sex is one time. That's one hole, fill, you're in, you're out, you're swapping numbers. Who knows? You're behind the Shonies. Who knows what's going on? But with this man, with his little tool, he was getting full bore inside of me. So I got all these little holes. Then they turn you over. They flip you over, bro. It's like you're an egg. It's like you're a piece of breakfast. And this goes back to that care and stuff that I like. This is what I like about all of that, is that you get cared for. And that's it, man. They flip you over, and then they got two shorties in there, right? A couple of straight up just follicle jockeys, right? And these ladies show up with this little clipper, and they just shave a little part into the back of your head. You cannot even, like if you're standing behind me right now, you have no idea. So they shave a little part in there, and then I don't know what happens because the Xanax took over. So I passed out. I wake up. They'd ordered everybody Chinese food. No clue how long I'd been out. But next thing you know, I'm jacked up on sweet and sour chicken. I'm feeling fired up. Everybody's friends, kind of flirting with the girl that worked at the front a little bit. I think she was, she had a kid, but she was, doing her best. She was trying to go back to school, I think. I don't know. And next thing you know, they got me flipped back over. My body's digesting Chinese food. Everybody has Chinese food in their systems. And they're putting these two hair babies are putting the follicles in. They're replanting me, they're out there. So suddenly I'm a sharecropper. I'm sharecropping basically got my mullet put into the front. And so people can say anything about this certain styles of hair, And people say, Theo, why do you have the haircut you have? And I say, well, for me, this is the underdog cut. I look like shit, and I know that, and that's fine. So let's take my looks out of the equation, okay? So what else are we? Who else are we? But when I got a little bit of that mullet now in the front, I'm coming something fierce. I'm coming out of the jungle. If I commit a crime, they're like, who did it? Oh, I don't know, a man that had magic growing out the fucking front of his head. That's who. Man, if you saw a police artist sketch of me, it better look like a just like a thundercat, like a lion. It better look like something that just leapt out of a damn birch and bit your stepdaddy in the neck. Because that's how I'm living now. So I got some of the back of my hair and the front of my hair, and it makes me feel good, honestly. It makes me feel even more like just like a damn pleasure cat. And you can't even notice. So here's the thing. You got these little hairs. They just put them all in these holes, right? So then you don't have anything. You still have the same hair you started out with that day. So nothing's new in that world. You got the same hair you started out with that day. So that's it. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm sure some guys have had this procedure. Some guys haven't had it. I definitely worry some that I'm going to lose my hair in the future. So a lot of that is anxiety. And people can say, well, that's, it's cosmetic surgery. It is. It's a cosmetic surgery, but yeah, I guess, I'm out here. I get nervous. I get scared. I don't want to, if I can keep my hair for another, if I can keep that front line fighting, and I know I got them, them soldiers in the back that are legit, then I'm going to tag team, this is WWE out here, out here in these hair streets. And I just tag teamed into the back of my head, and I'm bringing it around to the front. And so I still got the same amount of back, maybe minus 600 hairs you'd never notice. And now I'm keying up the front, dude. So we're coming in full throttle. Double Dragon. Remember Double Dragon, that video game? people fucking double dragon, dude, whatever. I don't even know. So I went out. Look, I leave that night. So, I get all bandaged up. I got to still go do my comedy, right? I got this hair tourniquet on my head. I can't touch the front of my head for 3 days. And that part I didn't like. That part brought me down off the high clouds. I'm like, oh, this isn't even cool. It made me feel like I wish I had never done this. And almost a week now, it was last Tuesday that this happened. I feel a little bit like, I guess, do I feel any ashamed that I did it? I guess I feel like, maybe I feel a little bit like maybe my higher power or something had a certain way that they want me to look in my life. So I guess I feel a little bit, I don't know if I feel like a cheater, but I feel maybe a little bit of shame there. I also feel a little bit like, like I liked being in the place. I liked being in there with the people and having the Chinese food and getting the hair and feeling, even feeling the vibrator on my scalp. I know that's kind of maybe homoerotic or something. I don't know, but it was exciting for everybody, I felt like. And then, so then I'm back out at the comedy clubs. I'm wearing this bandage. Here was the shit part. Nobody even asked me about it. I got my head wrapped up in bandages. Nobody's asking me shit. Nobody's asking me what happened, anything. I go on stage. People thought it was a tennis band. That's what my buddy tells me after. Oh, people thought it was a tennis headband. Dude, it's gauze. Who you playing tennis with, huh? Martina not gonna live, huh? Because if I see somebody with a bandage on their head, I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to see what's going on with them because that's a severe thing. That's their head. You only get one head. And people are out here, I got this bandage, and that made me feel, honestly, it started a little bit of depression for me for the week. And that was hectic, man. I didn't like that feeling. Nobody asked. You got a buddy wrapped up, their cranium is all balled up in cotton and swaddling cotton, and you're not even going to check in with them. Some dudes didn't even look up from their phone. Buddies of mine, just on the, yeah. Nothing. So I don't know. That's LA, man. That's LA for you. Everybody talking shit on all social media about how it's the most loving, love one and this and that, and then everybody's just on their phone screaming at the rest of the universe about how we got to all take care of each other. But then you got a buddy that shows up in your visual streets out here in Zone 1. In Zone 1, I say that from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. It's your primary zone. Some people, my buddy Danny growing up, he had that bad neck. So every couple seconds, the Lord would just involuntarily swoop him out of Zone 1 over into Zone 2. And he's looking a different direction. But I'm talking about Zone 1, natural. When you have that natural forward looking. Where are you looking? Straight ahead. A little bit to the right. A little bit to the left. That's Zone 1. And I'm showing up in people's Zone 1. And nobody cares. I guarantee I'll walk down the street, in middle America out there, and somebody would be saying, hey, man, at least they'll say, don't bleed over here, or somebody maybe give me a can of peaches or do something nice. But nobody asked a thing, man. And that's as close as you can get to dying. If I show up missing a leg, yeah, that's bad, You're down to one, you still got one. If I show up and, my hands are burned in a fire and I gotta, I have to carry my wallet around in my hands because I won't be able to get it out of my pocket anymore. So I'm just carrying around my own wallet like that. That's bad. But that person is still probably going to live. But you see somebody showed up, their cranium all balled up, like a regifted Christmas vase or vase, and you're not even asking what's going on? Yeah, of course. So, you know what? Maybe that got me to feeling bad. I don't know what that got me to feeling, but it didn't get me to feeling very good. And then the rest of the week, I've been in a little bit of pain, dealing with that, dealing with the head pressure. But everything's going okay. And then we get to I've been, and I'll answer more questions. If anybody has questions about the call-in, about the hair stuff, you can ask, and I will answer them. And I don't know a ton about the hair stuff. I started to watch videos on the internet, but then I got away from that because I don't want to get into the whole hair universe. I just like being cared for, man. And you get in those facilities and they care for you. And here's the thing. If I get a certain number of people to get the hair transplant within the next year, then mine is free. So I'm involved basically in a pyramid scheme, a pyramid scheme, if you will. And I love those, dude. I love pyramid schemes. I don't think they're fair. I don't think it's funny when people get trapped in them. I got stuck in one as a child. Me and a buddy of mine each put $1,000 into this one. And this is back when somebody had come through our town and sold a bunch of glitter mining acreage and shit. When they were trying to trick people into thinking glitter mining was big and all of that. And me and my buddy each lost $1,000. And we each saved up all our money and we lost $1,000. And actually that might have been, was that in college? Might have been maybe in the first year of college. I don't know. But that was all the money that I had. Another time I lost all my money, fell out of my pant leg. I had it rolled up, and that was at a gas station in East Texas. And that was not in any sort of pyramid scheme. That was just natural gravity and poor choices pretty much. But yeah, so if I get a certain number of people to do that hair up, so now I'm on that hair hunt. So suddenly my life's interesting. I might sprout a fucking eyebrow off a shoulder, I might spring an eyebrow off a deltoid, you feel me? So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm on that hair hunt and I'm in that hair game. What else? I'm trying to go to the Impractical Jokers tonight. My buddy Sal Volcano, if you haven't seen that show, they're four amazing men, and they put on a great program. So I'm excited. I'm trying to get over there. So we're going to get through this. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the kneeling during the national anthem. Take a knee, I think was the hashtag, right? And I get it. I get that you want to create awareness. I get it. And I think do the knee thing. Do it for a game. I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened. You can look back. If you go Google 2016 athletes taking a knee, 2015, keep going back through the years. Every year, somebody or a group of people, and there's been a stance. And look, it's a good ground. This happens every year for a few games. This is the largest we've seen it to this magnitude. I think the media blows it out of proportion. If some guys want to take a knee, let them take a knee. That's their choice. For a few weeks, I'm not going to really feel anything about them. I think that there's better ways to get your point across. I think that taking a knee thing is a little outdone. I think it's always a player that starts it that's kind of not that good. Colin Kaepernick was okay. He was good in his first year. In the next 2 years, he was not good in the NFL. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he didn't do very well. And so I wonder how much of that is just him, like if there's some energy in there that it's also him being disgruntled. With that said, I think awareness that racial indiscretion and racial issues, always good. Everybody needs to be reminded. I try and remind people that poor white people have had a fucking tough time in America and that poor people overall have a tough time in America. I'd rather see somebody take a knee for the financial disparity in America that continues to grow. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see somebody take a knee for how gas stations are allowed to sell sour milk. You ever gotten this shit? You go get some milk for your children, and next thing, you have 90 minutes, dude. You have 90 minutes to use that milk. That is the Jack Bauer of milk. That is 90-minute Jack Bauer sauce. That's that Jack Bauer bottle, dude. In 90 minutes, gas station milk is going to be sour. So you better get it into your kid's mouth, get it wherever you need to get it. But I get taking the knee, I get it. But I think take it against some other stuff. How about take it against laziness? Take it against, third and fourth and fifth generation people in America just sucking off the system. I just feel like there are, sometimes the causes just gets like I've heard it before. I'd like to just see a new novel way overall for almost any cause. And for me, I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. For me, it's not about me at all. It's about the fact that I am blessed to live in America. That's it. That's what it's about for me. Now, for other people, it might be about something else. But I stand as long as I'm, know that it's going on. I stand. I honor. It's about the fact that, that millions of people, lost their lives so that I could have this freedom right here, freedom of speech. So it's crazy and that to me is something that's a little crazy. It's like you're expressing your freedom of speech, but in a way that kind of, to me, seems like you are putting shade or casting a downward light on the people that sacrifice their lives for it. So to me, that's kind of how it seems, So I just like to see some taking a knee for other stuff. I'd like to see taking a knee for racial violence in all directions, and the racial inequalities that everybody faces. Sure, do it for a game or two, But let's also play football. Let's make it about what it is. These guys are playing sports. You work at an office. This is an office. And it also is weird, though, that at the beginning of your office, they happen to say the Pledge of Allegiance. But I think it's just because it's an event that gets so many people together, so many diverse groups of Americans together, that's when they want to do it, Maybe the NFL shouldn't have ever put it in, but I don't know. The national anthem's a thing that they put in at the beginning of everything. There's a neat video of one of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their team chose not to come out of the tunnel and be involved during the national anthem at all, which I thought was interesting. At least they're saying we might all stand for it, but we're going to stand for it in our locker room. But they had one player who had served a few military tours. Villanueva was his last name, and he came out, and there's a cool video of him out there by himself, saluting the pledge, saluting the flag, and listen and standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I live here. I'm happy to live here. I'm happy to be here. I'll always stand for the pledge. It's not about me. It's not about me. And that's just my thoughts, man. You can have totally different thoughts. And if you do, call me. Let me know. I want to know more about them. I'm happy to have my mind opened up as well. All right, we're going to have Ari Manis in studio in just a second. We're going to read to him and have him read some of the things that people said about him being in last time. I'm excited. I want to thank everybody who's been supporting through Patreon, and that's patreon.com/Theo Von. You can donate any amount from $2 to $10. And I want to thank you to everybody. We are almost to 50 donors. So I'm really, really happy about that, and I genuinely appreciate that. I'm excited. The money's going right back into the podcast. We're going to do some neat things. Okay, we'll be right back with Ari Manis back in studio reading some of the comments that people made about him. And this isn't to shame anyone that made them. This is just to kind of get into that space of what that's like. All right. This past weekend. By now, everyone knows that Dollar Shave Club ships amazing razors for a few bucks, a few buckaroos. I've been a member for a while, that's true, and I love my shave. I'm not fully shorn right now, but I love it when I am. What you might not know is that Dollar Shave Club also has products for pretty much everything else I need in the bathroom. Body wash, shampoo, hair gel, lip balm, everything. Lip balm. As soon as I heard Dollar Shave Club had other stuff than razors, I was sold. At the store, there are too many options. You can't tell the difference between any of them. What is this? Is this shaving cream? Is this a hat? And if you have any questions, the clerk doesn't know. Most of the clerks are only working there because the court assigned them. So if you're like me and you're sick of the nonsense at the store, now's the time to try out Dollar Shave Club. For a limited time, Dollar Shave Club is basically giving away their starter set to new members for only $5. This starter set features their executive razor and 3 trial-sized versions of their most popular products that help you stay fresh and clean. DollarShaveClub.com/weekend. This offer is exclusively available. That's dollarshaveclub.com/weekend for $5 off the starter set. Check it out. Ari Manis is back here, guys. Ari, how are you?
I'm good. I've had a week to recover and do my own thing, and it's a fun weekend.
Have you?
Everything's great, yeah.
What about this, man? I'm going to play this for you right now, all right? Just listen up.
One of the reasons that I love your show, and probably a lot of the other people that love your show, is it feels like you're talking to us. It feels like it's just you and us in the room or in the car or whatever, wherever people are listening. And
hey, Theo, constructive criticism. Constructive being the key word. I love your work. If you're going to have a sidekick, just make sure the sidekick knows he's a sidekick and not a co-host. It's the old 80-20 rule, right? I mean, 80% Theo, 20% sidekick. People come to your channel to see you. Again, nothing wrong with Ari.
Okay. Couple of call-ins right
You
there
know
that I
what?
got.
Those were fine. Those are, like they said, constructive criticism.
No, I
those
appreciate
guys
it.
didn't sound like they hate me.
Nope.
The one guy was just like, "We are here for Theo," and the next guy was like, "Nothing against Ari." So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think there's some truth to that. Maybe I talked a little too much. I don't know. I haven't actually gone back and re-listened.
Okay.
The ones that got to me
Mm-hmm.
were the YouTube comments.
Okay.
The YouTubers. You got any of those?
Yeah, I have one right here.
Yeah.
Here, why don't you read it? It's the top one on this one from a guy, Aura Glasswork. Sounds Jewish, actually. So let's
Yeah,
see what he
it
has to
does.
say.
He said, oh, okay. Dude is a wacky piece of shit. Who gives a fuck if your girl buys a lamp? Grow the fuck up, douche hat.
Yeah. And by
right.
dude, he meant you, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think he meant me as well.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the more popular comments on the video too. That hurt as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is some of these video comments, you're always going to get the haters.
Right.
But when the number one comment is a negative thing about myself, that makes me go, wow, the whole world just doesn't like me.
Well, do you feel like the whole world doesn't? Do you feel like it's just
or
these
the whole
people?
this whole world?
Okay.
So
you felt like it was when that dude said, read it one more time?
dude is a wacky piece of shit. Who gives a fuck if your girl buys a lamp? Grow the fuck up, douche hat. And then there was a little hat symbol.
Yeah,
After
and I
the-
think I did have a
after the
good
douche
bit
hat.
of pluses on the thing.
Yeah, and
A lot
that
of likes.
one, you know what? That one was funny. He said the word douche hat. He
Douche
had a
hat was
picture-
pretty good at the
Yeah,
end, and I
he got
remember there
douche
was an
hat.
emoji on it.
He had a point behind it.
Yeah,
So that's the other thing that hurts a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's not haters.
Mm-hmm.
It's they have a little truth behind them.
I see.
Each one, you know what I mean? It's not just
Yeah.
someone saying you suck.
Right.
Because
Did
that
you
I
feel
could
like a
ignore.
douche? Did you feel like a douche when you were here? Would
Not
you
while I
honestly
was
feel
here.
like?
While I was here, it was just me and you. I was being me.
Yeah.
You were being you.
Yeah.
And I felt fine. I wasn't trying to be funny. I didn't
No.
walk away feeling like I was this funny guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel obstructive. And so yeah, that morning when it came out and I'm reading the comments, it stung a little bit. But
Yeah, because I spoke with you that evening for a few minutes on the phone. I said, look, I called you. I said, man, don't let your feelings get hurt. Just keep your head up. And we'll, think about it.
yeah, and if I'm patting myself on the back, if I'm cheering myself up, I got to think you did 40 something episodes by yourself.
Yeah.
And then I come in.
Yeah.
They don't even see me.
Yeah, and it's weird. And I didn't really tell them. I
They're
know
not
we
used
talked
to
about it.
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of fans that have said, look, let's get somebody in here. Let's try and, they want to try something new. And so that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a lot of change.
Yeah.
And I don't take it too personally. And I realize, when you put yourself out on this public forum like this on YouTube, you have to be ready for this kind of thing. You got to be ready for the hate to come in sometimes.
This went together like a mayonnaise and jelly sandwich. You need to look for your peanut butter. So that's from Chucky Duncan.
I didn't see that one.
And I used to actually push buggies with a dude named Chucky, and this was down at at a Winn-Dixie or an AMP store.
Could it be that guy?
No, this kid
No,
name was
different
Chucky, dude, and his big trick was some of the parking lot was kind of downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would get at the high end, and he would get in one of the he would get in like the back buggy. He'd get a big line of buggies, and he'd get in the back one, right? So at the back, like almost the the caboose.
Yeah.
And he'd light himself a cigarette, and he'd get the whole line going. I mean, pretty quickly, kind of going downhill in this parking lot. And then he just smoked the cigarette the whole way down like a train, pretending he was like a train. And then he would just kind of coast them all into the grass.
He had dreams. He wanted to be a, what's the word called?
Train.
Train.
But it's
He wanted to be a
anticlimactic a little bit. But anyhow, I like the setup with the sidekick. Gives a little bit of a different flow. That was No Lucky Strike sent that in.
Yeah, there was a few positive ones. I got a few tweets saying we liked you. I got a few messages on my Instagram. So it wasn't all negative. It was just mostly negative.
No more co-host. No real opinions. Just trying to impress Theo.
Was I trying? I didn't feel like I was trying to impress you too much.
Only one person knows, dude.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to impress you.
No, I think there's an element where like we want to, you want to, best be of service to the podcast, and that's
Yeah.
one reason why I wanted to like, I've had other people that I've thought about. Oh, maybe it'd be neat to try them out,
Totally.
sidekick, see how it goes.
Yeah, that's really what I was trying to do, just be of service. And I think the one thing I did do of service, besides the technical aspects of things, is I set it up great for the next guy.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, not worse than Ari. It was like, I think whoever's on next is gonna have it a lot easier. For
Yeah.
sure, no matter who it is.
But yeah, look, we talked about it, and we
Yeah.
said we're going to try this out.
Yeah, we're trying it out.
We don't know how it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be an every single week type of deal. This is your show.
You have to get rid of that dude. That was another one.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
See that one? There's nothing behind it. See those are the ones that are like, oh, come on, at least give me something. At least give me a chance,
Yeah.
or give me some notes.
Can this fucking sidekick guy interrupt you anymore? And I put my own intonations on that sentence. But that's what was written by Brandon Gray. The concept could work if the side piece knows their place and doesn't get too damn frisky with the mic.
I guess it's weird too. When I left, I didn't think, oh, I was talking the whole time. I guess I talked a lot for a sidekick. I don't know, but I didn't feel like I was interrupting you and taking over the show. But I guess maybe I did.
Well, we didn't know. We didn't
Yeah.
know what it was going to be, and we still don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that this time we decided we're going to have Ari come in. We're going to address this. We're going to talk about some of these
We're
comments.
talking about it.
Yeah, see how you felt. And then we're going to have Ari take over the news, and that's what we're going to get into right now. Ari's going to throw up some topics. We're going to get into them. Let's get into that, Ari.
This is the first story I got. Virginia woman bitten by copperhead snake inside a Longhorn steakhouse.
Ooh, man. Is it okay that I am a little bit fucking turned on right now?
Yeah, she's cute, actually.
A lot of hotties work at Longhorn usually, dude.
Yeah.
If the manager's a good dude, he hires hot chicks and puts them in there. Boots, and they come and they beat this saddle. They have this thing where when it's somebody's birthday, they drag. My sister used to work there, dude.
Your sister worked at the Longhorn Steakhouse?
Not the one in Virginia, but she used to work there, and so they would drag this saddle out of the back, dude. It is so bizarre. It's like, some of those places have the birthday song.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, happy birthday to you,
Yeah.
And then at Longhorn, they drag this old saddle out of the back, right? And it's got like mayonnaise stains on it and stuff. It's a straight bust, right? Like the manager's been just plowing chicks on it after work, right? It's a real it's basically kind of like it's so like handicapped kids, I think, can like pretend that they can go on a horse kind of thing, So I don't know. I guess they get like a whole bunch of these. The company does Longhorn, and then they give one to each place from like, maybe one of those handicap camps or something, summer camps that went out of business. So then they get these, they drag it out of the back, and they sit you on it, whoever's birthday it is, and they put like streamers and shit on you. They put a cowboy hat on you, put like a lasso on you, and then they sing happy birthday to you. And that's what happens at those kind of places. So I just want to give you some context. And my sister worked there for a while.
Yeah.
And then she said she wanted to get into acting because she thought she was good at that.
Because that job made her feel good about acting?
Yeah, like she thought just because she put on these shows, she's like, well, I'm doing, this is her, she's like, I'm doing shows at work, so I'm thinking about maybe getting some headshots taken. And I'm like, and that's where I realized that my sister and I have this divide that we'll never be able to mentally get on the same page, you know? Because I'm not denouncing her, but I'm just saying you don't spend the $250, $300 on headshots because you're singing happy birthday to people at a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Right.
That's not show work.
Maybe sign up for an acting class. Maybe it made you realize you enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah, you take a smaller step.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened there? I want to read that headline again. Do you mind one more time?
Yeah, sure. Virginia woman bitten by copperhead snake inside a Longhorn Steakhouse. And what happened was she was going there to eat. She felt something bite her foot. She reaches down, and it's a baby copperhead snake. And luckily, her boyfriend used to breed reptiles. So he knew exactly what to do. He took the snake out. He knew what kind it was. He killed the snake. He called the paramedics. He said, my girl just got bitten by a baby copperhead. You got to get her. They come pick her up. They take her to the hospital. They give her some anti-venom.
Is that hazing? I feel like this is hazing because they're shutting fraternities down for this same type of shit. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, you know, they're biting. Their animals are out there. They have raccoons or something bit some kids in the nuts down there in University of South Carolina or something a couple of years ago. And they're, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's wild when you mix animals with humanity. It's wild.
Anything could happen.
And is this the kind of place that says that they have any sort of petting in there or any animals in there regularly or no?
That's the thing. It's just a regular Longhorn Steakhouse. There was no animals supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And they just got this. I wonder if they're liable for any sort of thing. Cool little reptile story.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, it makes you a little more excited to be at a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the environment in there is kind of mundane.
Well, for sure, it makes you wear closed-toed shoes.
Yeah.
You don't go into a Longhorn Steakhouse after reading the story with sandals on.
Fucking
and you look down. You should look down and watch where you're walking.
Dude, I don't eat in sandals, bro. And to me, that's a little bit homoerotic. That's like wearing shorts to church. When I see a guy's knees in church, dude, I'm out, bro. All right, next
story. A cafe is giving its customers water soakers to shoot pigeons because it's fed up of being besieged. I don't know if I read that last word right. I just want to get the animal story out of the way. Besieged.
And I guess they're
besieged.
I guess animals pooping are out there eating. And that's the thing amazing that's about pigeons, that they have the capacity to shit and eat. And it's almost like one way or the other. It's like they're either taking something in their mouth or they're shitting. There's no downtime.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of downtime.
Yeah.
With those. I mean, I've seen videos of people putting Alka-Seltzer and feeding that to pigeons and watching the birds explode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is pretty... I'm okay with shooting a pigeon with a water gun to get rid of them.
Yeah, my father, when I was growing up, he used to pay this black man named Stoop, and he stood. Well, the nickname was Stoop. He had one of his legs a little shorter than the other, so he would stand on this stoop, on a little bit of a stoop, and he would stand there all day to make him look even. So if you're just driving by, he looks even. Now, if you know him and you get up there and talk to him close, you realize that he's uneven.
Huh.
But my father used to pay him to take us to lunch. My dad used to work at this little shop, and when my dad had to watch us, he'd pay this man to take us to lunch, get hot dogs. And pigeons would always attack him in the park. Because there was a period in Louisiana, I feel like, where honestly, I don't think pigeons, I don't know if somebody's racially training these pigeons or not, but they were attacking a lot of black people.
Really?
Yeah. Or if black people were being mean to them, at night, and that you weren't seeing that part of it, and then just during the day, the pigeons were striking back.
I think whatever, you have to realize pigeons are smarter than we think, because I didn't know pigeons could do that. Could be racist.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just enough. It's like that cause and effect thing. It's like, and I think it's, I guess it was happening a lot. I don't know. I don't know exactly what was happening. But I could see somebody was either training pigeons to be racist, or there's the only two things I could think that would be occurring is somebody's training them to be racist. Because you can train birds.
Yeah.
They have birds doing all kinds of stuff. Think about something that birds do.
They deliver messages.
Boom.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, birds deliver messages. Birds, they're using bird organs in transplants, the bird tissue into people. They made somebody something out of part of a bird recently.
It makes sense. They have great eyesight. They could scout little rodents from up in the sky.
That's fat. And some of their eyes are so small. Think about how acute their eyes must be.
They must be, they have great eyes, so that would make sense that they could easily distinguish colors of people.
Bird's eye view? How strong is a bird's eye? That's a great question.
Probably depends on the bird.
Bird vision. Here it says right here, man, and I'll use Wikipedia, dude, as my source.
Most of the time that shit's right. Sometimes it's off.
Vision is the most important sense for birds, since good eyesight is essential for safe flight. And this group has a number of adaptations which give visual actual superiority to that of other vertebrate groups. A pigeon has been described as 2 eyes with wings. So that right there tells you pigeons are in that, they're about that life. And but yeah, these pigeons would attack this man when he would take us to lunch a lot of times. And it got to the point where he couldn't take us to lunch anymore down in the French Quarter, because in the French Quarter, there's a lot of pigeons down there.
Yeah, it's not even worth going to lunch with a guy if you're just going to get shat on by pigeons the whole time. At some point, you're just like, I'm going to go get lunch by myself.
Yeah. All right. I think that takes care of our news.
That's the news, baby.
Ari, I want you to stay for this first caller, man.
Okay.
I'm excited about this, and I want you to stay for this first caller.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, let's get to it right now. Can you hear on the calls too on your audio?
I think so.
Okay, great, man. All right, let's take this one in. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. Got a caller from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll leave my name out. So, my girlfriend's friend, a couple months ago, I'd say.
Now, Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's Dreamcatcher country. You been over there?
I went to high school in Roswell, New Mexico, a couple hours away.
Did you really, by the alien
Yeah,
stuff?
I went to a military high school over there.
Did you really?
So I spent a lot of time in Albuquerque, yeah. My parents didn't, and I didn't get along, so they sent me away to a bad boy school.
Bro, that adds a way creepy level to you. I didn't know that. So you were out there by the aliens.
Yeah, I was over in alien country a couple of years.
All right, let's get into this call. So this guy's calling from
Albuquerque.
From Albuquerque.
I'll leave my name out. So, my girlfriend's friend, a couple months ago, I'd say, out of nowhere, she's posting pictures on her Facebook with a whole bunch of money. So my girl decides to message her and ask her, hey, how'd you come up on all this? She got a new car, she got a new purse. And the girl tells her,
how'd you come up in that loot, huh?
Stripping.
Yeah, and that's my first thought.
Yeah.
Is stripping. And I hate to think that about girls, but that's an okay thing to think.
Okay.
there's this dude on Snapchat giving money away. He's having little contests. If you guess how fat his friend is, on the dot, you get $10,000.
I mean, come on.
That's a cool contest.
I mean,
I'd give it a shot.
It is a great contest.
It's like when they used to do those, you count the jelly beans in the bin.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
But now you got to count the eternal jelly beans in a human's physical system. Yeah. How fat my friend is. You get $10,000.
Yeah.
Onward.
So she adds him. You know, we try a few times. We almost win a couple times. But,
I want to know what his guesses were so bad.
I want to see a picture of this dude.
Yes. I'm going to have to text this guy, and I'm going to see if I can add this in on YouTube, get a picture of the fat friend. Onward.
Dude notices that my girl's a looker, and he slides into her DMs asking if she wants to really make some money, that she could, you know, give him a night of her time for, wait for it, 100 G's.
Ooh. And what about the fat friend? I guess he's out at this point.
I guess, yeah. I wonder what his involvement is with all. Does he know what's going on?
Oh, that's called the fat and switch, dude. When you put your fat friend out there and then you wheel him in the back and you offer up that $100,000. So now the guy's offering $100,000 to be with the guy's girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, they made a movie about this in the 80s. Onward.
100K, one night of her time. You know, at first we laugh, start researching this dude. He's having dinners with Diddy, all kinds of big names, and not gonna lie, we considered it. You know, but I decided that's the definition of selling your soul, you know. So you know, we declined. But I told her, you know, let's see how much you could really get out of this guy. Flirting a little bit. So
Yeah. Let's see, huh?
Yeah.
So a couple weeks go by after we kind of squashed that, had some fun with it, and then we kind of just forgot about it. About a month later, he hits her up, tells her he's going to be in Albuquerque.
Aha. Oh, it just happened to be passing through Albuquerque.
Yeah, like that's a real common thing. I'm just rolling through the Kirk.
Does that ever happen?
I don't think, not that I know of. I know I would have never gone there if it wasn't for military school.
Yeah, dude, they had to build a military school to even get people to come and check the joint out, dude.
Mark Maron's from Albuquerque.
Is he really?
Yeah, side note.
That actually doesn't even surprise me.
Yeah.
He seems like a desolate kid from Albuquerque. All right, let's hear the end of this here.
he upped his offer to $300,000. And, you know, we're kind of solid on our stance of not taking the money, but damn, Theo, I just want your opinion on this type of situation. We both got a lot of student loans. Yeah, man, let me know. Love the podcast.
Wow. And I didn't mean to cut you off there, bud. I appreciate you calling. Yeah, there was a movie, Indecent Proposal, and that was a billionaire offers $1 million to a young married couple for one night with the wife. So this guy, I mean, so I guess that's happening. Talking about, this sounds very Saudi Arabian to me.
Yeah, like a prince.
Did you feel that?
Not till you just said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally.
And that might be racism by me, but when I first heard this, I was like, oh, I know who's the kind of guy that's doing this. Like, I see it out here a lot.
Yeah, it's like a Middle Eastern prince.
Yes. Because, I mean, that's a lot of money, too. $300,000?
They message Instagram models. I met an Instagram model, and she's like, yeah, I get messages from princes all the time trying to fly me out there.
Really? Yeah. But how, I mean, 300, that's a lot.
I give him props for turning that down. That'd be hard to turn down, especially, like he said, he didn't have a lot of money. He has student debt.
Yeah.
He must really love that girl, so I hope they're still together and doing good. That's cool.
Well, look, I appreciate you calling in, but this is a cool, I don't want to say it's cool. I mean, it's a story. It's a real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was at the Comedy Store last night, and there's this guy, I could see at the end, the guy wanted to take a photo with me as I'm leaving, right? Just, you know, it doesn't happen to me all the time. Happens to me sometimes there. I've just been on stage, blah, blah, blah. So I'm doing that, and I can tell that the girl he's with, like, they don't know each other that well. There's just this vibe. Like, what's kind of the situation here, you know? And then I could see it's one of these sugar models or, these websites where you pay a couple $100, you take the girl out for the night. Sex isn't guaranteed. It could happen. There might be more to it. And, man, there's a lot of girls out here caught up in that business.
Yeah. It's a tough town, man.
It's a tough town, but also, like, I mean, I could be out there sucking dick, you know? I'm an 8. I'm an 8 with a decent, future possible.
It's getting better each week.
I got the mullet.
Yeah.
My mullet is about to be in the front of my head. People don't realize the magic. I'm going to look like a lion. You know?
You already do, man.
Even if the middle falls out, I'm still going to have this beautiful front row right here. But, these are people's daughters out here doing this.
I don't know what it is that causes. These girls are, I think, mostly broken broken women. They're coming to LA, maybe pursuing modeling or acting. They want the easy ride.
Yeah, they're lazy.
Yeah, they're lazy, and until that easy jackpot hits, they're kind of selling themselves on the internet a little bit. And it's tough. It's tough to judge them for it, but I don't. It's hard to respect someone fully when they do that sort of business.
I worry about some women getting confused by empowerment, They're like, okay, I'm supposed to be empowered. I'm supposed to control my body and own it. So therefore, if I'm selling my own body, then that's just me being in control. It's like the same thing a guy would do.
Yeah.
A guy would go bang women for money, of course. I'm just wondering, like, what the psyche is behind some of this.
Yeah, it's tough. But I couldn't. For me, I thought about that. I was thinking about that, and I was like, if someone offered me $1,000 to have sex with her, I don't even think I could do it unless she was hot. But if she was hot, she wouldn't be offering me that kind of money. The type of person, the type of guys that are on that site are not good-looking guys. They're gross guys. So it's like,
what would you do if you're this kid?
It depends on how much you love the girl, I guess. If it's a new relationship, $150,000, if you could walk away with that, that's saying they split it 50-50. I don't know what their arrangement would have been when they discussed it. Would she get more than 50 because she's doing most of the work?
That's a good question.
I don't know. But let's say it's 50-50. For $150,000, I would have to really love the girl not to want to do that. I think I'd have to really care about her. And it sounds like he did. It sounds like that was a serious relationship. So I give him props for being able to say no to that kind of money.
Yeah.
Because you could do a lot with $150,000 or $300,000. So, but yeah, me personally, I would take the money.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a wild call, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's a wild call. We're going to get into a few of the rest of them in just a second. We're going to say bye to Ari Manis.
See you guys. Thanks for having me on, Theo.
Yeah, man. Will you come back next week maybe and help with the news? Let's see what people think.
Yeah. Let's see what happens after this week.
And I appreciate you putting it out there a little bit. I know it's, I appreciate you coming kind of on not enemy territory, but
Yeah,
unfamiliar. I appreciate you coming on unfamiliar territory.
I appreciate it, and yeah, it's a little scary, but I think you got to overcome your fears and keep grinding.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, look, we're trying. That's
Yeah.
life. We're trying. All right, Ari was here, and now he's gone. Let's continue with the rest of this past weekend. Onward.
Hey Theo, this is JJ calling from Sacktown, Mactown,
JJ calling from Sacramento. I appreciate your call, man. Sacramento, where everybody looks like a missing person. I don't know if you ever spent time up in Sacramento, but everybody looks like they're missing. Onward.
Anyways, bro, I love your podcast, man. Definitely probably my favorite comedian at the moment. But I had a question, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'm coming off of a pretty long heroin stretch, so I've been detoxing and just trying to live that clean life. You know what I mean? But I know part of recovery, you got to keep your mind occupied and all that. So my question to you is, what are your favorite hobbies to do? What's something cool that you can do, by yourself or with some friends or, just something like that, man. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to find something new, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I appreciate your calling, man, and I appreciate your aim to battle your addictions. That's awesome. That's really awesome, man. It's brave. That's brave stuff, son. And you out there in them bravery streets, JJ, and I respect that more than you know. I just watched a movie the other day called Bill W., and it's the older one. There's an older one. It's like a documentary. If you get a chance, it's on Amazon. It's only $3 to rent it, and I bet you would like it, JJ. It's about the AA program and just everything that how it all started and stuff. It's interesting. It's inspiring to me. Brought a tear to my eye a few times. But let me tell you this, man. Things that I do, I thought about this, and this may sound, gay or not gay or chill or whatever. I don't know, dude. But right now, I'm kind of on a little bit of a kick of trying to learn why I feel like I do, because a lot of my life I start finding I just get in habits. My life's the same. It's mundane. It's it's the same thing a lot. Even my life, even though it might seem interesting to some people, it's a lot of the same stuff. So I start to try and read about why I behave the way I do, or if there's something wrong with me. Or there's something I'm not doing well at. I want to learn why. How can I do better? And why do I feel the way I do? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I've spent so long detached from my feelings that, feelings for me are brand new. So right now, I'm really trying to figure out when I feel anything, like a real feeling, not just like something short or quick or anger or happiness. Those sometimes can be real fleeting. But other feelings, I try and really feel them and figure out what they are. Outside of that, man, my hobbies, taking a walk, doing yoga, getting little surgeries, bruh. I got that lion mane coming in the front. But sometimes my hobbies are just like not laying in bed. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be in bed and my head will start going. And before I know it, I've been in bed 5 minutes just worrying or pondering or angry. And I haven't even done anything. I don't even know what my day's like. So my thing is now, I do not lay in bed. If I'm up and I know I'm not going back to sleep, I'm up. Because good things are going to happen when I'm happy. You can't think your way into positive actions, but you can act your way into positive thinking. So the second I get moving, good things happen. But other small things I see friends do, man, reading. You get back to reading, it adds a lot of peace in your life. Taking a walk. Like taking a walk with your eyes open, not on your phone. Really just, we're such creatures that are supposed to move, and we forget about that, especially in society today. We're all caught up. But yeah, little things like that, trying to be there for others, reaching out to other people. I know these are weird hobbies, dude, but I'm on this, that's the kick I'm on right now, JJ. So those are some of my hobbies, What else? But yoga I really like. The first 3 times you go to yoga, you're going to fucking hate it, dude. You're going to want to saw somebody in half, bro. Not even with a saw, dude. With something that's not a saw. But that fourth time, you're going to start feeling that, you're going to start feeling free a little bit in your body. Your body's going to feel in control. So, but yeah, small surgeries, spending time with other people. What else? I enjoy talking to my brother. These are weirdest hobbies, dude, but I'm a weird dude. So those are some of my hobbies, I guess. But I don't do too much outside of work and do comedy. And I feel like my job is a hobby. So it's tough sometimes when work is a hobby. But that's what I do, man. And I applaud you, dude, and I love you, and I appreciate you calling in, man, and even thinking about what else, other people are doing, because by asking other people questions and learning from other people and just taking suggestions or even just listening, man, it's going to help you so much in your detox and in the next levels of dealing with whatever little demons you got, and those demons might be big, man, but don't let them be big. Keep your demons small, dude. You got a big life ahead of you. All right, let's move on to this next call. Here we go.
Hey, Theo, I'm calling because I don't have anybody to talk to, and it feels pretty bad. I got a question, though. Everybody, they go through things like relationship, and, I went through one of those, and I'm out of it, and I just feel really sad. I just don't know how to get back to me again. I remember being fun and single me, and now all I have is lonely me, and, he's not a good person to hang out with. I don't like him very much.
Okay, so you don't like being with yourself when you're lonely. You notice a difference onward?
And I know everyone's gone through that. You probably have. What did you do, or what would you say to somebody who has lost their way, as it were? Thank you, Theo. I appreciate, you being here for me.
Oh, man, look, I'm being here for you, but, I don't have advice. But I'm happy to share with you how I felt, man, when I was, when I got broken up with, you want me to be really honest with you guys, man? I turned into a baby, bruh. When I got broken up with in the past, dude, when I wasn't in control of my feelings, when I didn't know who I was, when I was just, I was obsessed with my girlfriends, but not really in love with them. I thought I was in love with them, but I couldn't even tell the difference between love and obsession and just desire, sexual desire. I couldn't even tell the difference between some of that. Man, one time my girlfriend broke up with me, I put Nair in her shampoo. And she had a roommate that lost a sideburn from it, and that girl was a little bit turned at the time. So whatever, and that's out of legal. That's been 8 years. So no legalities. Everybody, good. What else after that? What else happened after that? When I got out of a relationship, one time, dude, the girl I was seeing, she took French class. I started learning French, dude. I spent a whole summer learning fucking French, dude. I got to her place, and that's the girl I met in South Carolina, and I was, petting her neighbor's cat or somebody's cat. I turned into a stalker. I was over at her place in the middle of the night petting somebody's cat, and I just hitchhiked to get to South Carolina. I'd never been in the state before. I got there at midnight, and I'm petting a cat on the address where I know she'd been getting mail. So that's not healthy. And practicing my French in my head for how I was going to romance her in French. Dude, can you imagine if she'd opened her door? Here's a boyfriend that she hasn't seen in 3 months, who's probably been, sending her like 6 and 7 page love letters. Suddenly this dude is on her porch petting a cat that she may or may not even know, because I don't think she owned a cat. So this is going to be somebody else's cat that I would be holding when she opened the door. And that I'm going to be trying to just probably stutter in French how much I loved her. That's going to jail. That is going to jail. That's GTJ behavior right there. That's going to jail. So that's how I behave. So I'll tell you this, man, don't be a pussy. And I hate to say that word, I know people like hearing about it. Don't be it. If that relationship's over, sometimes we romanticize the old you, the fun you. Really? Was that who you were? Or what was maybe you were. I'm not saying you weren't, but just don't romanticize things. That relationship didn't work out because it wasn't supposed to work out. I hate to tell you that. It might work out in the future. It's not working out now. So what are you going to do? That's the facts, man. But if you're really struggling with your feelings and you're not feeling great, you know, pick up a hobby. You know, get you a box of popsicles, dog. You know, go to an Al-Anon meeting. Listen to other people share about their feelings, how they're feeling. Al-Anon's a great place if you're not an alcoholic or something, but you lost in your feelings. Go there. People sharing, and you'll learn a little bit about feelings in there. But I mean, I wish you weren't going through this pain, but that's what I did. I smoked menthol cigarettes and laid on a swing set for a summer. Wasted a whole summer of my life. Another time, my ex-girlfriend broke up with me. I drove across country, showed up at her place in the middle of the night to win her back. You know, and I wasn't tripping. I mean, I was a little bit in hindsight, but I mean, I thought I really loved her, you know, and I did, and maybe still do in some ways, but you know, what did I do? I freaked out when I felt bad, when I felt sad. I put narratives. I mean, look, man, I wasn't making good choices. What do I do now? You know, I've been, you know, spending time with the girl, and we have some tough times because of situations that I'm dealing with. And, you know, what do I do now? I don't lay in bed. I don't lay in bed and think about it, man. You know, I keep moving. And when she pops into my head, you know, I get through the feelings. I breathe, I meditate, I get through the feelings. You know, and if that's what's going on, you know, but just do grown up stuff. Don't let stuff just happen to you. Do stuff. If you sit there and let stuff happen, your feelings are going to take over. You're going to feel bad, man. You know, but if you do stuff, you take action, you can feel not as bad. And you probably don't deserve to feel as bad, man. You sound like a good dude who deserves somebody that loves him. You'll get that. I promise you, bruh. You know, you got big lovers out there coming at you. You know, you might have a dude hit you up on Snapchat for a couple $100 just to visit that ass, you know? So keep your options open, man. You know, but stay up, man. Don't stay down. Don't stay down. I know that's vague and shit, but you know what I'm saying, man. You're better than that. You'll be okay, bro. Love you, all right? Be good to yourself, son. Fucking hug yourself and go jerk off somewhere. You know, if you got to jerk off one time, don't get addicted to it, but, you know, sneak out in the woods or something. Jerk off. Connect with your manhood. Bring a whip out there. Tell your friend to beat you with a whip. You know, buddy of mine, when he would get feeling kind of squirrely and girly, sometimes his buddy would beat him with a fucking whip in their basement. And he's a straight up G, man. So you'll be okay, bud. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood. All right, let's go to the next call.
Soaking in the sunshine here in Indiana, Theo. This is Bobby.
Indiana, home of the Ku Klux Klan. Just bringing that up. Just don't want that blamed on the South anymore. Onward.
And we've got a little issue. I'm calling from Muncie, Indiana. The situation is...
Muncie. Beautiful name I've always thought for a baby, for a newborn baby. Muncie. Look at Muncie. I got a friend named Mutsy, and he got one eye. Onward.
Is my neighbors. I've got several characters in the neighborhood, but there's one in particular, one couple in particular that have an interesting thing going on. So,
okay, what is it, brother? What you got?
I moved into town to start my graduate degree about 4 months ago, and these fuckers have had a continuous yard sale that spans their entire property, which is probably...
Oh, that's ball mart, dude. That's people that straight up ball mart. People that just straight up ball out in their yard, dude. We had somebody like that. That's ball mart. Everything's for sale, always. Anything. Something gets thrown in the yard out of a fucking window, that's for sale too. Everything. Let's hear more.
Probably half an acre or something. So they've got this yard sale, this perpetual yard sale going on, and I'm not really sure how to approach it. They're not violating any policies or laws that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
And I have walked over a time or two, and I've actually bought a few items, one of which was a motorcycle helmet. I also picked up a fur coat and a football jersey. So,
damn, dude. I love it. I love the whole scenario. What do you do there? I mean, I think here's what I would do. I'd make a deal with them. For $500, I'd buy everything in that fucking yard, right? And then I'd put it all over in a corner and I'd burn it all. But the deal was contingent upon the fact that they don't sell anything else ever. If not, then you guys got to get a neighborhood group together, like an HOA type of thing, and see if you can shut them down, or just embrace it. Embrace it. Next time you got neighbors coming over, take them over there to shop first thing. Sometimes it's like things aren't that bad if we just embrace them. But sometimes neighbors need to act a little more neighborly. My step-parents live next door to this family, dude. They got 11 or 12, 13 fucking children. Half of them's running around like damn Frankensteins. Some of them have children. They're running in and out of the house. They always have a million cars parked in the yard. They're not bad people, I don't think the dad works, and but they're not good neighbors. That's for damn sure, And they had one time, they had a kid, a 3-year-old. My stepdad, somebody's by the door. He sees somebody out by the front door. He opens the door. They got a 3-year-old out there standing out in it, like by the yard, like right by the front door, like by the walkway. And my stepdad's like, "What's going on?" And it's 3 years old. This kid, he goes, I'm just going to go walk to the Dollar General and get me something. Do you know which way it is to the Dollar General? My stepdad just took him back to his house. Kid's 3 years old, and that's the type of family that's over there. And he was making signs and shit for a little while. We'd stay up at night just hammering on signs like he was damn living in Santa's workshop or something, the daddy or something. I don't fucking know. People are out of their minds. People need to learn how to be good neighbors, though. That's for sure. And you can write them a note. You can start straight up war with them if you want. But if you're not willing to go there and you want to live in that contention, if you don't want to go there and live in that contention and be at war with them, which could be fun too. That could be fun. But if not, then you need to come to some peace with it. See if, you could buy everything one time and they never do it again. Or see what, ask them, when does the yard sale end? Or when you have guests over, take them shopping first. Just embrace it. Those are things I would recommend, dude. That's fucking gangster. You got a fur coat out of a neighbor's yard, bruh? Dude, we had this fur coat and these other dogs in the neighborhood would come by and fuck it sometimes, man. And then some of them would double team it too, dude. These two, honestly, bruh, these two black dogs, I think they were Rottweilers. Anyhow, onward. I'm taking one more call, man, and then I'll see what's going on. Let's hear it.
Hey Theo, what's up? My name is Vince, calling from Tampa.
Big V and Big T, Vince in Tampa, man. You sound like somebody that could have worked at a strip club. Onward. But then, of course, everybody in Tampa does.
I just had a little bit of a story for you. Based on an experience I had when I was 16 years old with my first blowjob.
Ooh, this is always enticing, man. I love to hear about people's first experiences. So let's go, Vince.
I was bowling with my buddies at the bowling alley, and I knocked some pins down. Turns out I had the old 7-10 split.
That 7-10 split, man. That's what they used to call this dude in our neighborhood who he had one tooth right there and one tooth right there. He had that Michael Strahan. He had that 7-10. Onward.
And I was bowling with one of the hottest girls in high school. She comes up to me and she says, "Hey man, if you hit this 7-10 split, I'll give you a blowjob in the car afterwards."
Really? I don't find this impossible to believe, but what kind of girl does that if you hit this? What girl even knows what a 7-10 split is in high school, Vince? I mean, think about that. Some girl, like, if you come up and hit this, I'll give you a blowjob. Dude, I'm going to listen to this a little bit more, but I'm uncertain about you here, Vince. Onward.
Hey, Theo.
Hey, Theo. I was bowling with one of the hottest girls in high school. She comes up to me and split. I'll give you a blowjob in the car afterwards.
Onward.
Bro, I never hit a 7-10 split in my life. And I'll be damned if my little penis tip didn't twinkle and I hit that 7-10 split. I never hit a 7-10 split in my life, bro. Anyways, man, she ended up hooking me up in the car, and that was my first blowjob ever. I remember I felt like I went into a little bit of shock, dude. It was like my hands and my arms and everything went a little bit numb.
Oh, that's blowjob atrophy, dude. We had a buddy like that in junior high. He got himself some early blowjobs. And if you get early blowjobs, a lot of times your body's not used to it. You can have adverse reactions even to, sexual activity. And he couldn't even move after he get a blowjob. So literally you could tell if he'd gotten some, his buddies would be carrying him around, or they would be, they'd even have, I remember one time after prom, they had him in a wheelchair. And that's, that happens. Sometimes people can't handle the sexual activity they're getting at young ages. And they will, and this dude, they put him in his two buddies would carry him because he was kind of a little bit of a strong in the legs. He had some rings in his woodwork, if you know what I'm saying. He had some, his legs had a lot of atoms in them. He was, a lot of neutrons and protons. Anyway, he was thick. That's what I'm saying. He had volume. He had mass. He had all of those. And so he would get that blowjob and he couldn't move very well. He'd get that atrophy in his muscles and stuff, and his buddies have to carry him around. And that happens too. Sometimes you get that, you take these Viagras, these Cialises. I take that Canadian Viagra, makes my legs sweat. And I have a buddy that used to take it. He couldn't bend his legs if he was on Viagra. So he could do some sex, but he had to just lay down, or just lean in one time really good. And so everybody has different things that happen to them with sex, man. But the 7-10 split story, I find it hard to believe, but I love I love a first-time story, so I appreciate you calling in. And also, I think you were a first-time caller, so I respect that. We had a lot of great calls. I'm going to get to some more of them. I don't know if I'm going to get to them tonight. I don't know when I'm going to get to them. But if you have a call, if you have a response to something we've talked about on the episode today, if you have a thought on the take a knee. If you had a thought on the take a knee, man, I would love to hear more about it. You can hit the hotline and drop that call off. If you have had an experience where your girlfriend or significant other you guys have agreed that they could sleep with somebody else for money or not for money, just for recreational purposes, and how that played out. I'd love to know more about that. So you can hit the hotline for anything, 985-664-9503. But those are two things that I would love specifically to know about. If you have experience with those, to call in about them. If you've had a spouse spend time, or a girlfriend or boyfriend spend time with somebody else that you agreed on for money or for not, and how that played out afterwards. And also, if what you think on the take a knee. You think that's legit, that's cool, that's whatever. You think, how many times is this going to happen? How, what's the solution what's the racial solution, or whatever your thoughts are. Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to know them. And I'm going to take us out here. Thank you guys again for supporting the podcast. You can hit up the Patreon. We got the Dollar Shave Club out there. Everything's going okay. I appreciate the support. I want to thank Ari Manis for being here. You can follow him on Twitter and on Instagram at Ari Manis. There's no hard feelings between me and Ari as we figure this out. I appreciate you guys calling in and voicing your thoughts and your opinions. They're always welcome here. Always welcome here. And we're trying to heat them. I'm trying to figure things out, I don't want to just kick Ari by the wayside, because we agreed that we would try it for a few weeks and see how it goes. So, we'll figure it out after this week and see if it's worth trying for another week or not. We tried to reframe it a little, or I tried to reframe it a little bit. But thank you for checking out this past weekend. Subscribe, tell your friends. I love you. I will be in Huntsville, Alabama, November 14th through the 16th at the Stand Up Live. Ari will be in La Jolla at the La Jolla Comedy Store, and that is the first weekend, I believe, in November. It's either the first or second weekend, so you can check out when he'll be there, the 3rd and 4th, or the 10th and 11th. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'll talk to you soon. Let's go out. Spencer Jacob Grau Band with Celebrate. And if you have some ideas for new music or intro theme or something and you want to let me know, you can hit me up at theovon@mac.com. I'm always interested in having a variety.
Celebrate living. Celebrate.
And go out there and stand on what you believe in, man. If you're tired of certain things, people get tired, then speak up about it. You know, everybody has a voice, and we got to use them. You know, if you're tired of companies, making shitty stuff, quit supporting shitty stuff. You know, when you change where your money goes, that's when things change. So put your money towards things that you care about. Research the companies. Research who's doing what. Know who you're giving your money to, because that's how things change. And poor people got to stick together, man. I tell you. Onward. You guys be good to yourselves, man. I bet you deserve it, man. I'm going to try.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great.
Hey, sweetheart, here's it Theo. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt-dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.
In the trades, your tools are everything. You can't afford them breaking down on the job. Brunt makes tools you wear, tough boots that are insanely comfortable right out of the box. We work directly with people in the trades to develop each product at the best price. Try Brunt risk-free with a 30-day on-the-job trial with free shipping and returns, and get $10 off your first order with code SXM. Go to bruntworkwear.com.
Okay. I know some of you guys are tired of the intro music. Well, if you are, just listen to it again.
Celebrate living, celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
Sorry, that's a little bit muerto. That's a little bit muerto, and that's Spanish for death. Because you die in other countries too, in Spain, Portugal, Africa. Everywhere you go, you die, brother. And that's the crazy part. And I'm sorry to start us off like that, but that's not what's happening right now. Right now, we are in the live category. We're checking that live box. If somebody passed you a note right now, and it said, do you live? Yes or no? You would check yes, because you're alive. Sorry. I know some of you guys, it's a sentence almost that you have to deal with, while some people seem to just be able to embrace it and just have joy just jumping out of their dang skin, you know? Just like joy is just repelling out of their armpits and just spelunking out of their nose, you know, constantly. And some people have that natural joy. That's what I call that. That natural joy. TNJ. Not to be confused with TMJ, which is lockjaw. And lockjaw is something you could get. It was rabies' little brother. Because I grew up, a lot of people know in the rabies belt. A lot of rabies, a lot of lice, body bugs, you know. We had one fella was always scratching his neck, and they would have to, put these, almost make him like a mummy because he was scratching his neck so much because he got the body bugs. And people get different types of stuff, and that's one thing that he got. But TMJ was also, I think, something like lockjaw where you couldn't eat for a while. It was like a diet but one that basically your central nervous system enforced a diet on you, and you couldn't open your mouth. And that was something I remember my mother told me, be careful out there because you could get lockjaw. And especially around this time of year, I find that October, do you realize it's October? Do you realize you can eat candy all month long and nobody will judge you? You could be at a funeral and break out a Snicker, a baby Snicker, and nobody's going to judge you heavily because that's natural, because it's that time, I mean, you could just, you could crack open a pixie stick and bust a couple of rails right up your snout, like frickin' like coca-luphagus, like snortaluphagus, bruh. You could do a couple grams of grape pixie powder and nobody's heavily going to judge you. And that's because it's Halloween time. And Halloween I always feel is, it's the best. I mean, you could dress up like a fucking ghost and go to Burger King tomorrow, and people will just think that, you're just trying to get a head start on the year. I mean, we had a girl in our neighborhood that would go trick-or-treating year-round. And some people thought she was mentally challenged, maybe had a little speck of the tism on her. Because I grew up in the tism belt as well. And that's basically a lot of the South and Midwest. Tism is heavy out there. Tism drips heavy. It drips heavy in the genetic caverns out there. It just drips off the ceiling, and every now and then a drop catches somebody, and they get caught up. Their feelings and emotions and the way that they live their life gets caught up, and that's autism. And everybody's got a little bit of it, and I'm sure I had a splash hit me on the back, when I was going through the genetic caverns into the universe, and I got a touch, because I'll see a lot of times autistic kids and they flare up kind of when I come by a little. It's almost like if a dog hears something in the distance, and I'm not referring to autistic children as animals or autistic humans. I'm not doing that at all. But I'm saying that they'll have that same, you ever see like a dog, like if a dog is far away and you make a sound and the dog looks. That's a lot of time what happened with me when I get around people that have mental disabilities. Because they know that the thread in me is recently removed from the quilt that they're made of, that I'm partisan to whatever they got. And I've always thought that. I've always felt a little bit on the, people say on the spectrum, but I don't want to say on the rainbow, but I say on the water slide of autism, because it's a wild ride. But happy October, guys. Happy October 1st. It's October 2nd. It's October 2nd. I'm recording this on October 1st. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope, people got into the football. We got some people that called in about that, about some of the different kneeling. A lot of unique perspectives on it. And so we're going to rifle through some of those in a little bit. We got Ari Manis coming back in. I know people hate him. Some people love him. So we're just going to figure out, we're going to try it again, a little bit of a flow. We can see how that goes. And what else is going on in my world? I mean, recently I'll give you a sensual update. I'm in 7 days of no masturbation. And for me, that's good. And so I'm feeling pretty hopeful about that. One of my problems is a lot of times once I tell people I'm doing something, I screw it up. Like the second, I'll say that to you guys and I'll get excited. I'll get caught up in my own hope. And then it just, it's like that creates a bad recipe inside of me that then somehow I end up, looking at masturbation or touching myself. And I don't want to be doing that anymore. I don't want to be touching myself. Why? Because I'm an adult. And I've been touched. Trust me, I've been touched enough by myself. I've given myself enough easy access to my wiener and to my body. And so I think it's time sometimes to start to cage myself up from myself and have a little bit more respect for my seed. What else, dude? Oh, I watched this show, Last Chance U. I don't know if you've seen this, but I used to work over in Mississippi. I worked on a farm over there for a couple of summers in a row, 2-3 summers. They're right on the Louisiana Mississippi border. And this show on Netflix, Last Chance U, is about mostly African American black boys that play football at a school called Eastern Mississippi Community College. And it really kind of captures a little bit of that slow vibe that goes on in a lot of small towns. If you get a chance, man, I heavily recommend that. It's a pretty good show. This past weekend. Yeah, that October, I remember when I was young, doing Halloween was always a special time, you know? I remember in high school eating mushrooms, you know, psychedelic mushrooms, little trip snacks, brain Mentos, basically Mentos for your soul. I mean, you pop a couple. I mean, the first time we went to get some mushrooms, I went with some kids who'd already gotten them before, and so they were fired up. And we went there, and I'd never seen as many mushrooms in my entire life, not even at a grocery. And we got probably half of a big black garbage bag full of mushrooms. And we took them to a party. And at the party, people ate them. We went inside the party, people ate them. And about an hour later, there was probably maybe 40 people at the party. An hour later, nobody was in the house, but everybody was still at the party. People were lost in the woods. People were trapped. Some people were trapped behind the swimming pool, even though there was no way to get trapped behind it because it was just a round pool. People were playing hide and go seek with themselves. 2 kids were in the bathroom and didn't know each other was in the bathroom. I mean, you could just hear people's souls just jerking off in the distance. You know, it was just like bison were just roaming through people's souls for the first time. And then Indians were showing up and hunting them. And that's what was going on. You could feel people shifting. You could feel people shifting gears mentally and emotionally at the same time when people were bent out on them mushrooms on that Halloween. And then, now we had a lot of mushrooms, so those went on for a few days and children were eating them. And I remember dressing up like Where's Waldo. And I got in a powdered sugar fight with a couple of people who I didn't know, which is fun at first. But anytime you're fighting with condiments, fun at first, violent at the end. You know what I'm saying? Crack open a packet of mustard on somebody. It's cute for about 40 seconds. And then shit escalates. You know, and next thing you know, you're trying to fucking hide chunks of relish in people's tear ducts and shit. And that's when shit escalates. But I remember a buddy of mine, this kid Todd, drank some gasoline, high on mushrooms. He was jacked up on something, you know, and he fucked up at the service station. Time Saver. The service station by us used to be called Time Saver because I guess they assumed that if you stopped there, you were going to save you a couple extra seconds. But old Todd, he really earned himself a couple of extra seconds in the hospital, days even, from drinking the gasoline. But yeah, I had good times on Halloween. I was Where's Waldo one time. I was Peppermint Pat. Another time I got jacked up on some type of uppers, and I was Peppermint Pat for Halloween. And it's really basically you take some long johns that are the pants, and you take the long john shirts, which is just kind of the same material as the pants, but it's a shirt, and you sew peppermints to it. Just tie the peppermints, you know, all over it. Get you a little hat, like a little beanie hat, hook a few peppermints onto that, and suddenly you get a cane, like a cane for a grandparent, and you paint it red and white stripes, and suddenly you fucking Peppermint Pat, you know? And it's not even a character, but it is a character. And people are like, who are you? And it's like, I'm Peppermint Pat. You know what I'm saying? Let me hide a little bit of this mint up in that ass. You feel me? Let me breath freshen that crotch. You feel me? So that was another costume that I had. I remember this story, man. This is the first time that I knew when I was young, my father lived with us, and my father was really old, and so we would go trick-or-treating, and my mother would take us. My mother had worked all day, and so she got home, and she was a lot of time frustrated, and my dad would stay home. Excuse me, I'm going to have to clear my throat. A lot of times you hear me clear my throat, you hear me, I make that sound, because I got a big lip. I got that, what is it? I got that sashimi, that tuna sashimi for the bottom lip. And so a lot of water and a lot of coagulates bunch up down there in the bottom of my lip. I'm kind of Bubba Gumping down there. And so, a lot of time water build up right there. And I'd probably make a pearl if you gave me enough time. I'd probably make a pearl in my mouth. I bet when I die, if the last person who comes by my body just pulls my lip down, they might find them a beautiful, geological treat right there, and that's going to be a pearl, because I got them coagulates. My mouth kind of flows into this place where there's no way for the water to escape. So anyway, that's what I'm going on. If you hear me making sounds, that's the sounds I'm making. Because people sometimes will call in or email. Some guy emailed one time, I can't listen to the podcast anymore. He's always drinking your own spit. That's what he accused me of doing, drinking my own spit. What are you talking about, dude? Like I'm an orphan in the Sahara? What do you mean drinking my own spit, dude? I'm not going to drown, bruh. I'm not going to drown so you can have an easily listening atmosphere. So every time you hear me making that sound, know I'm surviving. Okay? That I want to be at other stages of my life. I'm not going to have my brother be at my funeral and say, oh, my brother drowned out because he didn't want to swallow his spit. Because he had shame about it. I'm sorry. Different people make different sounds. Go put your ear up to your stepmother. I bet she sounds like a piece of shit. Maybe. Some people's stepmoms are decent. Anyhow, onward. So I remember we had Halloween, and my father would stay home, and my father was old. At that time he was 76 years old, maybe 75. And my mother would take us trick-or-treating. And I didn't realize at that time yet that my father was old. I knew that he was like physically slower, but I guess I didn't realize, I didn't really realize how he saw me. I didn't realize how he envisioned me or looked at me or if he did any differently because of his age. And I remember we went trick-or-treating with my mom, and my brother and I got in a fight. So we were Raggedy Ann and Andy. And both of us, we both started out as Andy, and then my brother beat my ass enough where I kind of looked more like a Raggedy Ann. And not, just my eye paint had gone out, my hair was sprayed out, and my Raggedy Ann outfit was all busted up, looked more like a dress. So at that time, I was showing up back at my door like a real bitch. You feel me? And so we get back to our house, we go on trick-or-treating, and we had a pretty decent time. And it was my mother with the 4 children, my sister in a stroller. And we get back there, and my brother and I run up to the door. And my father came to the door, and he looked at us. And he got the candy bowl and just said, take what you want, And that's when he didn't realize it was us. He didn't realize it was his own children. And that was like the first moment that I guess I realized that maybe my dad just couldn't relate to me that well, even just because of his age. Like he just didn't, maybe dads forget. I mean, my dad had just seen me, an hour earlier when I left, my brother and I wearing our costumes and stuff. But I remember getting back to the door and he didn't know it was us. And I just remember feeling this disconnect immediately. It wasn't like a feeling of pain, but it was this feeling immediately where I understood where we were in relation to each other. Like, I knew immediately there was this divide where he just didn't, there may be, like, he could confuse me with other kids, that, you know, he didn't remember things that well, that there was just this, immediately there was this element that, and probably at that age too, that, you know, he didn't recognize me, you know, there was probably a lot of fear that set in internally then, you know, this fear that, you know, maybe he could protect me or something, he didn't know I was his own, or some, you know, nocturnal, animalistic vibe to him. But that was one moment that it really shook me. Wow. You know, my dad he's old. He doesn't know that my brother and I standing here, you know, who don't have masks on, who have, you know, like headbands that have like yarn and stuff and are looking a certain way, that he doesn't realize that we're his sons. And that was kind of a wild moment for me, not to bring down the town. You know, I'm not trying to drown the town here in inner salt water. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, put the saline in your eye holes, but yeah, it just reminded me of that. That was another thing that happened at Halloween. Well, let me think of some other Halloweens that I went to. They had this. My mother had a station wagon, and a station wagon was something that it was like a van, but for straight up real ass moms. It was like a SUV. It was like the original SUV. Like now they got these SUVs with all this room and this and that. The station wagon, that thing was like 50 feet long. Like your mom could be driving and you could be so far in the back that you were a couple minutes behind her in time. Like if you'd have asked your mother what time it was, she would have said 11:44. And if somebody would have asked you what time it was, you'd have said 11:41, because you were living in the past. That back seat was so far. And man, it was fun in that station wagon, you know. You could talk all the smack that your mother could never reach you. These SUVs, they got reachable children in them. You could catch an ass whooping if your mother got long arms, if your mother's Nigerian, you know. If your mother's from Kenya, you might get your ass beat, even if you're just sitting into the back. But with the station wagon, man, your mother could put you in there. You could be back there so long you could start a family. You know, she opened the door. Next time she opens the door, you pop out with a husband and just freshly back a tan because you just got back from your honeymoon. It was that kind of thing, man. Felt like you were back there forever in your own universe. And I loved my mother's station wagon. But on Halloween, she would put the tailgate down, and we'd get a couple of local kids, and we would stand on the back of the tailgate and hold on to this bar. The tailgate was down. We'd stand on that and hold on to this bar that was at the top of the station wagon. And my mother would drive. She'd take us to the nice neighborhoods so you could get that candy, you know? Because rich people had the candy. I mean, you showed up at some poor people's house, people, you know, I remember this one dude, what was that guy's name? Cutman, Mr. Cutman, he would blow weed smoke in your face and blow drug smoke at you. And that was his big Halloween thing. So when we were young, we didn't get into that much. But as we got a little bit older, it was fun to hit his door because he'd crack that door and just blow you a hit of that dope smoke at you. You know, trick or treat, boy. That shit was trick or trauma, dude. One year, that shit hit me right in the nostrils, dude, and I was bent out. You know, I was bent out. Boy, I was ghosting, dude. I had Goonies in my head, bruh. Hey, you thoughts. I had Goonies in my head, man. But that was a good time, I remember. And so anyway, we'd be on the station wagon, and that tailgate would be down. My mother would be cruising. And the fun thing to do when you saw that open yard coming up was to run and jump off like we were in the Air Force, you know, 101st Airborne Division. And no offense if I'm getting that wrong. I don't want to offend anybody or in that sense. But you get what I'm saying. We'd run and jump right off that tailgate and, all right, all right, all right, all right, you know. Somebody throw my sister off, you know. and everybody just hitting the grass, and then everybody would get up and make sure they had all their candy. Half the candy roll out into the yard, but it was dark, you didn't know. You'd get your bag and run to the door. Then you'd hit a string of houses and then get back on the tailgate and off around to the next street. You know, Mother would go around and we'd jump off, you know. So this one boy, man, one time we're going, man, and my buddy Danny, and I've talked about him before, and he, you know, very slender neck. I mean, his neck, if it was made out of anything, it was turkey bacon. And so he was long, you know, and long people, they're out there. You're more likely to catch a cold. My dad always told me you're more likely to catch a cold when you're long because there's more of you. You know, if I'm only 20 inches tall, there's only 20 inches of me where a cold can land. But if I'm 27 inches tall, I'm a little longer, then those molecules or those, you know, those viral antibodies or bodies that are floating around, they can land. There's more room for them to land, you know. Like I'm telling you, it's easier to land on Saturn than it is on Pluto because there's more space. That's what I'm saying. So my boy Danny was long. And he went running off, and we were, we're jumping off that tailgate, hitting the yard, you know, rolling over, running up. And Danny goes running, dude, jumped, and literally landed right onto a fire hydrant that was in somebody's yard, man. And I heard a sound come out of that boy. It didn't come out of his voice box. It didn't come out of, it was almost like his bone marrow just let out a fucking shriek. Like his bone marrow let out a shriek. And that's when I knew that nighttime was dangerous, man, and that the devil lurked sometimes on Halloween. He was never the same. He was never the same before that. But he was double never the same. After he just jumped sheer darkness and just caught that fire hydrant just to the whole neck and body, you know. And the crazy thing is you could pop that hydrant open and run water across him forever and he would never get back to normal. But it is fall, it is autumn, and happy Halloween to you guys. We're going to be right back. Just a second. I got Ari Madison's studio. I got a new way we're going to use them. I got a plan. Bear with me. We got a few calls that came in about the NFL. We got a guy who's got some pubic hair reconfiguration something. And we got a couple more things. We'll be right back. Just give me 1 second because somebody just rang the doorbell. I got to see who it is. All right. But yeah, it's that time of year. It's the time of year where things are fresh. October, I think, is a great month to rattle off the things you want to get done that have been plaguing you all year. Set a few goals. Knock them out before turkey time and before Christmas. Because if you stick your neck out a little. Now stick it out a little bit further. What do you hear? I'll tell you what you fucking hear, boy and girl. You hear a turkey with a jingle bell around his neck. And that's holidays coming fast, dude. And if you don't think the holidays are coming fast, go outside. Bend over. And I'll tell you this, before you know what's going on, you will have a damn pilgrim with a fucking sack full of new toys hiding in your ass. Because that's what I'm telling you, the holidays are coming quick. And we got a great episode for you guys, man. I'm excited. I didn't have that crazy of a weekend, so I'm just going to kind of leave that right there. You know, I spent some time. I go to therapy on Monday, so I'm ready to spend some time with my therapist. I'm trying to get, through tonight's episode so that I can get some rest and be prepared. Sometimes I go to this therapy session, I'm not prepared. But I go to adult therapy for males because I ain't no wuss. And if you're having problems, you feeling some emasculation issues, I want you to hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. I want you to hit the hotline with some of the ways that you're feeling as a man. If you're having a tough time being a man, it could be in any facet. Hit the hotline. You don't even need to leave your name if you don't want to. But just make sure your story's real. We got some great calls that came in. We got a couple of people calling about taking a knee, the NFL. We got a couple of amazing perspectives on that. We're talking about why we don't have camels in America. We're talking about a follow-up call from a gentleman who, we talked about it last week about what would the price be that you would let your loved one get out there and do sex with a stranger, an expensive stranger, a stranger that's got some money, the rich. How much would you just let the rich just plow into your loved one? And we got a call that came in about that. We got some great calls. A man got hair transplants from a place you probably wouldn't even expect. And you heard the doorbell a little bit ago. That's going to be Ari Manis is going to be back here, and he's going to be in studio. But the time when he's not in here, he's not in here. This is our time. And this isn't a time that I share with him. This is our time. And the time when I tell you he's not in here, he's not in here. So I just want that to be known. A couple of other things before we move on in the program. I want to let you know that I am headlining the Hollywood Improv October 10th at 8 p.m. We can do about 45 minutes. Hot new material, cool stuff. You're going to love it. You can find those tickets on my website, theovon.com. As well, I got the Hampton Ain't Easy. The tour shirts are available now at theovon.com/store. And those have all the tour dates on it from this past year. It's kind of a neat shirt. It's a few dollars pricier because I had to get a couple extra colors put on it. But it's a cool shirt, man, and I think it's nice to have. If you want to get that, you can go get it. It has every city that I performed in this past year. And what else? Oh, I got a new series that's going to be that we're working on a pilot for Comedy Central, so I'm excited about that. There's no money in it yet, but it's going to be a neat opportunity. And it's all a little bit based on this podcast, so that's kind of exciting. But I just want to thank you guys for being here with me today. Happy Monday, or whatever day it is this week you're listening. And we're going to be right back. We're going to have Ari Manis in studio. We're going to check on him briefly, hit a couple of news topics, and then you and I are going to get back to some of your calls. I'll be right back. This past weekend. All right, and that is everything that you need to know. Also, if you want to support the Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/TheoVon, TheoVon. Options on there to donate. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. I really appreciate it, allowing me to get a new camera. And eventually the goal is to come out with a Thursday episode that better reflects responses from Monday's episode. But with that said, here's a couple of thoughts.
Ari, I'd say keep him on. He seems like a good dude. The one thing I would say, though, is just maybe have him be a little bit funnier.
Hey, Theo, this is Ivan. Love your show. As far as Ari is concerned, for someone that you want to have with you all the time, just pick someone that you enjoy being around and someone who's professional.
Be a little bit funnier. Be a little bit funnier.
I don't know why that did that.
You did that. You edited that.
I would never do that.
You did do that. You're lying.
No,
you're lying to me, and you're lying to all your fans.
There's a glitch, I think.
That was not a glitch.
Okay, fine. There wasn't a glitch, man. Those are two comments that just there's a couple of calls that I got in, and I didn't.
You said we weren't going to bring up comments again. You said we were just going to skip past that and just go into the podcast. You said we're not going to talk about it anymore.
We weren't.
But then you just played it.
Yeah, it's on the play sheet.
Yeah, but you said to me before, I said, hey, are we going to keep going over the negative comments, or are we just going to move on? And you said, oh, yeah, no, we're past that.
We are past it.
And then you just brought it up again.
But I wanted to make sure you're past it.
I was until you just brought it up again. Now I'm back in it. I mean, the funnier thing, fine. Comedy's subjective.
Yes.
That guy didn't think I was funny. Some guys didn't.
Well, that guy,
some people did, some people didn't. The professional thing, first off, I feel like I'm a professional. And then secondly, you making that little mixtape. That's a mixtape. You made an Ari Hate mixtape.
Okay, that's not...
my friend, Theo Vaughn, made an Ari Hate mixtape.
It's not a hit. It's a remix of a couple of albums.
Okay, a remix. You made an Ari Hate remix.
Okay.
Which makes me think that you think I'm unprofessional.
No.
Do you think I'm unprofessional?
Not at all. That's why I was going to actually, if you'd let me gather my thoughts a little bit, I was going to contradict what some of these guys were saying.
I don't think you were.
Really?
No.
What do you think? I was going to let you just drown out there in the dirty
you're
water?
Just letting me out here to drown. That's okay. No. I guess that's what people want these days for entertainment.
No, I mean, look, it's very Rome. It's very Rome these days in the podcast world. You know, they want to see you get killed by a lion or fight 1,000 squirrels. You know, there were some men that if they didn't have a lion, they would get thousands of squirrels to fight men. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's crazy too.
You're not pulling that out of something you think might be true?
No, not at all. It's a real thing.
All right. Cool.
Well, here he is, guys. Ari Manis right here. And what I want to say is what's going on in Ari's world. I just want to do a check-in with Ari. So,
you know, life's good. Me and my girlfriend, we made up.
Yeah. Last we checked, you guys had just made love after the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, we had gotten back together at the Grand Canyon. Things were a little shaky. I think we're on good terms. We went to San Diego together.
Oh, that's cool. What was the occasion?
Past weekend. It was my younger brother Jonah's birthday, and I lined up some shows as well. So I was doing some comedy and was going to visit my 17-year-old. I'm 18 now. He just turned 18. And so we celebrated by going to the whorehouse in Tijuana, Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, the Hong Kong. You ever been there?
I've never been there.
Well,
Did you take Jonah?
No. Jonah stayed behind, even though he is allowed to go. Now he's 18. In Mexico, 18, you're allowed to fuck whores.
Oh, you're allowed to get murdered at 7 or 8.
You're allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
But no, this was just me, my girlfriend, and one of my buddies, another comedian who was on the show.
Okay.
And yeah, so we went, and I've been there 4 or 5 times now. I love the place. You just go there, $80. You could just have your way with a woman of your choice.
Wow. And now, do you feel any like emotional repercussions from that? Do you walk out of there feeling like, this isn't good for me, or this isn't good for my psyche, or something like that? Or you just feel?
Honestly, the first time I walked out of there,
yeah,
I felt it was cool. It was like, I can't believe this place exists.
Yeah.
Because, prostitution here exists, but it's this really shady, internet, secret, grimy, dangerous maybe.
Yeah, it's like you got to
field.
Hide in a recycling bin and just wait till some kind of,
Yeah, you tiptoe around it. Yes. They're not called prostitutes. They're called escorts. There's all these rules.
Yeah.
And they do a background check. Here, it's this legal establishment. Nice establishment, in fact. Very
now, when you
clean.
walk in, what is it like? Is it like a CVS? Is it like a Ready-Med? Is it like a 24-hour medical center? Like, what vibe is it?
It's kind of just like the nicest strip club I've ever been to. I've only been to a couple strip clubs in the U.S.
And is it well lit? How's the lighting in there?
It's lit kind of like a bar, so it's not super bright, but it's not dark. You could definitely see around. There's $4 beers. There's 3 stories. There's jacuzzis. There's stripper poles. There's women. There's people drinking. There's parties, bachelor parties, friends hanging out at tables, drinking beers. And so you walk in there, and there's just all these women lined up and down the place. Probably, I'd say, over 100.
Can you smell crotch in the air when you walk in there? Honestly, be honest. You don't have to.
You don't smell crotch. What you smell is
cleaner.
Yeah, cleaning products. And it's I forget the name of it, but there's.
Is it scented in any way, like orange cleaner products, or is it just basic cleaning?
I think it's
government type of cleaning.
I think
products?
It's basic Mexican government cleaning products.
Okay,
because it smells a little different than the cleaning products here.
Yeah.
It smells like 99-cent store cleaning product.
Right. So it smells like you're just
lower end cleaning product.
Right. Maybe the cleaning products aren't as good, but the people who are doing the cleaning work harder.
Yeah, they were good. It felt clean.
Right.
And there was no part of me while I was there that was thinking this place is gross.
Because in America, you get a $3 Windex or Shine-X or whatever. It's $3. But the person doing the work's putting in $1 worth of effort.
That's right.
But down in Mexico, you get $1 worth of product.
Yeah.
But you get $3 worth of effort.
I think I never thought about that, and you're spot on with that. So you go in there and you do it, and I've been there 3 or 4 times.
Now, were you nervous when you walk in? Because I would be extremely nervous in there.
I was only nervous this time because I'm with my girlfriend now.
Okay.
And she says she's cool with it. She's like, I don't care. They're just prostitutes. They're not cheating on me if we go here. She was thinking she would get into it. She goes, I'd be down to watch you have sex with a prostitute.
Wow.
And I think that could be, kind of hot and fun.
Yeah.
So we
that's
go
very
in there.
It's very Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, and that's swinger country. If you never spent time on
Yeah,
Lake
I
of
didn't
the
know what you were
Ozarks,
referring to.
oh yeah, there's a good. I wandered into a swingers weekend up there one time on accident.
Yeah, did you partake?
No, I couldn't do anything. I could watch the bingo that they played, and then I wasn't supposed to get in the elevator from like 11 to 1 a.m. because it was basically just like a fuck trolley just going up and down the building. But I did press the button one time and the doors opened, and there was just a brother in there just putting down the hammer on some older white women. But anyway, go on.
So we go in there. She's drinking a little bit more than me.
Okay.
She gets sauced up, which made me think she's uncomfortable.
But yeah.
And that made me a little uncomfortable. And I kind of just got this vibe that she was just pretending to be into this whole experience.
Your girlfriend?
To be cool. Yeah, to be the cool girlfriend.
Of course.
That is letting me have sex with a prostitute. So I didn't end up doing it.
Yeah.
I ended up not partaking.
Did it feel like a gang? Like, because at that point, when you say that, the cool girlfriend that's letting me have sex with a prostitute, that makes me think like gang, like somebody that's in a gang, like
No.
Latin
Like she's in a
Kings.
gang?
No, like you, this is all some type of gang type of. That seems like something that happens in gangs. You know, like I'm gonna bang your friend. You know, you stay here.
Huh.
You have this snack or something, and I'm gonna bang your friend. You know, like
Sounds like you know more about gangs than I do.
but there's like
know.
initiation
Yeah.
type stuff, and the girls probably play along with stuff to seem
Oh.
cool and comfortable. You know.
Yeah, it just felt like maybe because we were on weird terms from our last fight, and she wanted to be like,
who takes their
make it
girlfriend
up.
to the gets in a fight at the Grand Canyon and to make up for it, takes them down to a hooker house in Tijuana.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. I've talked about hookers on stage. Sometimes she knows I had been there. I'm open about my life. And
Did anybody there know you when you got there?
No, but I did actually see one of the prostitutes I had prior experiences with, but she did not remember me at all or seem
Really?
to notice me.
And did you tell your girlfriend you'd been with that woman?
I did.
Wow.
I said I got that one last time. And she was like, "Oh, cool." And I don't think that bothered her. We're fine from this whole experience. Nothing affected our relationship from this. I think mainly, though, because I was keen enough and I picked up on the fact that she didn't really want me to do it, and she didn't really want to see that, and I felt that. So because I'm a gentleman and because I care about her, I decided, hey, I don't want to. I said, I don't really want to do this. I said, you're prettier than all these girls. You're much more beautiful, which is true. She is prettier than all those girls.
Yeah, she's a pretty lady.
And I said, we don't need to do this. We got some delicious street tacos right outside a Mexican taco truck there. And
right outside?
Yeah, right outside the whorehouse. There's this taco truck. We got a whole plate of tacos for $4.
Together?
Together, we pigged out. It was delicious.
Wow.
And then we got back to my parents' house 4 a.m., crashed out on the air mattress, woke up, drove back here.
Unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
It's almost like a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. You know?
Yeah, except better.
Interesting. Ari Manis. Well, I appreciate that check-in, man. I appreciate you letting us know what's going on.
Yeah.
Why don't you lead us into a couple of news categories?
All right. First category, speaking of, sex, semen-contaminated flutes might have been given to children. So the California school officials warn that several school districts in Southern California, they were musical donation from this man, I guess, who started an organization called Flutes Across the World. And now they think that the flutes he donated in, he also jerked off onto and then gave them to kids.
Wow. I mean, that's... how are they going to know?
It said in the story they don't know how this came, how they found out, but someone found out.
But there's semen everywhere. Like, it's like when you walk into a motel or a hotel or an abandoned building, you know, when you find a stray dog, you know, like you could go look on the YouTube, man. There's people out there spending way inaccurate time with animals, you know. It's like there's semen on everything. We're made out of semen. When you think about it.
We're from it.
Everybody wants to walk around and act like, you know, it's this taboo product. You know, like it's something that people are, you know, secretly bussing in from China or something, or from Korea. We're semen. You are semen, dude.
I agree with what you're saying, 100%.
So a little on a flute
but
from some kid who's even more recently of seed than us. I just, who are they going to say did it? I'm sure they'll probably say Trump did it.
No,
next.
they're saying the guy who donated the flutes did it. But
was
what
also
I'm
doing
saying,
Well, you know what? That doesn't surprise me. A guy that has a bunch of flutes, yeah, seems like a guy that probably is jerking off on the stuff. First of all, if you know anybody that has more than one flute, I'd phone them in right now, bro. And the number to call for that is 911.
I say you get what you pay for. They took these free flutes.
Yeah.
They're free flutes.
Yeah.
You can't be complaining about if you don't want semen on your flutes, then buy brand new flutes on Amazon. But if you're going to take these donated flutes, yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want a handful of free marbles, dude? They smell like the inside of my ass. You know what? That's life, dude, and that's God's plan for us right now. All right.
That's the news, man.
Speaking of that, that's the news. Let's get into one call right here while we got Ari Manis in studio. Here we go. And the number is 985-664-9503. You can always hit the hotline with any thoughts, comments, concerns, or questions. Let's tap into this right here.
What up, dude? The name's Jeff Toy.
Jeff Toy. Asian? Jeff Toy?
You're thinking of Joe Coy.
From Kentucky,
Mm.
Louisville, Kentucky. Just wanted to let you know that I, too, had a hair removal procedure.
This is in response to the hair transplant that I got almost 14 days ago.
I kid you not, man, but it wasn't on my dome. It was on my face. So, you know, I have a hard time growing a beard. I got that engine in me.
And that means Native American. I don't think he's talking about Hemi. But he, and I know what he's talking about, actually. There's part on my throat, it's almost like a choke mark where I swear my mother choked me when I was young that will not grow hair.
Yeah, I can't grow a full beard.
Yeah, so that thing is way shoddy, dude.
Okay, well, no.
That's actually
keep
doesn't
bringing me down.
My bad, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look that bad.
It looks like scruff. Some chicks like that.
Yeah, it looks like you've been kind of living in New York, but outdoors.
Yeah.
In my family. And so I can't grow a lot of facial hair.
Okay, guy. Well, let's get to it.
So, you know, if you grow like a chin beard or a neck beard, you know, the hairs are a little greasy. Chin beard and neck beard look a lot like pubes. They do. And so I'm actually going through the procedure right now of getting some pubes, because I got plenty of those, transported to my face. Now, I'm a little worried, though, and I asked for your prayer request. Just want to let you know that you're not alone in this, and God bless you.
Wow. He took it to the Lord at the end. And I've been at Halloween before where we needed beards and stuff, and we would cut off pubes and each other's pubes because some people had better stock, and use that to make our beards and mustaches for Halloween, outfits. What do you think about this, Guy? What do you think about this, Ari, about getting that transplant?
If this is real, to me that sounds like a prank phone call.
Really?
But
I thought about it. I don't think it does.
So you think it's real. So if he's really getting his pubes to his neck, he's transplanting his pubes and moving them to his neck, I think there's a bigger issue. Why is he so insecure about not being able to grow a beard?
Right.
Just shave your face. Just don't be a beard guy. Just be a shaven man.
You know? I mean, it's just an old prison trick. Like, in prison, a lot of times, if you read a lot of these old, like, prison diaries and stuff, and you can get a lot of these on the deep web, which is just like they've digitized prison diaries, and you can read about the things they did at Halloween. And a lot of the things they did was use different types of body stuff that they had, even dandruff that they would collect all year, to make different types of costumes and stuff like that, you know. So it's pretty interesting to hear, you know. Like a guy would be like, Tony Montana, but it would be like, 4 or 5, 6 people's dandruff that he would use to make the cocaine stream coming out of his face. You know, and it's almost spookier that way. You know, when you leave the house with 4 people's dandruff glued to your cheek.
Yeah, that's scary as shit.
And your cousin, and a pubic mustache made out of that your cousin grew for you. You know, that's Rochester, New York, right there.
Be a little bit funnier.
Oh, this is broken again.
It's not broken.
Be a little bit funnier.
God.
Yeah,
all right.
I guess I forgive you. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
You bet. Ari Manis, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be right back in just a second with, we're going to get into the rest of these calls. We got some great ones. This past weekend. Okay, and we are back with Ari Manis is out of here. You know, I think we're just going to continue to try this for another week at least, see how it fits with Ari. I liked him. You know, I like checking in with his life to see what's going on, and I like having a couple of news segments that I don't have to think about and prepare, so it can be kind of fresh to me. But let's get into some of your calls. We had a lot of great calls about the NFL, and a lot of great calls about the sitting, taking a knee, the national anthem issues, and I thought a little bit more about it over this past week, and I think everybody did, because it's something that's, you know, that's in the air, you know, and certainly in the past few years, I found myself thinking a lot more like, what are my thoughts innately and feelings innately towards people that are different than me? You know, where do I stand? What do I think? What do I feel? I find myself doing that more, and I think that that's great. Awareness is eventually key in every aspect of your life. But what I'm also noticing is, and hearing about, that the take a knee thing was very vague. It was like, okay, well, we're upset at racial injustice. Then we're upset at Trump. And then we're like, it's a police brutality. It was like, well, what's it for? You know, I understand it's for different things, but it was just, this is the first year that I really felt like it was, you know, it just seemed, because it almost started to make it so that the awareness stuff is starting to lose some of its effect. That's what I felt like. Because every week and every day, if you keep saying, oh, this is about awareness, this batch of cupcakes is about Black Lives Matter, this casserole is for DACA repeal, it gets to be overwhelming, so that nothing is for anything. Because if you're saying that everything is something, then nothing is for anything. You know, it's like it just wears it out. And I think people are starting to get worn out. And I've noticed from different friends of mine that there seems to be this vibe that people are just tired of hearing constantly about blame. You know, if you want to blame white people forever about the issues of the world, then you can start in Britain. You know, the humanity's civilization apparently began in Africa and Egypt, I think. So if you want to go all the way back to there, keep on going. We can keep cruising through the history books. And you want to blame it on two organisms in a desert that got hit by lightning? Or you want to blame it on two monkeys that met in the woods? Or you want to blame it on Adam and Eve? I mean, at a certain point, you're just going to keep, at a certain point, we just have to look at where we are. And we have to look at what role we are also currently playing in our own problems. Because that's some of the issue that I start to have personally is, well, yeah, I know that there's issues in America where there are racial injustices. I know that some people don't have as good of opportunities as other people. I know those things. I think that most people want to fix them, but and are happy to find ways to do that. But if someone just constantly just yells, everything is wrong, at a certain point, they're not helping. I don't feel like they're not helping to be part of the solution. So I guess I'm just trying to be a little bit more solution oriented, you know, and also what role do you play in your own problems? You know, like, yes, there's tons of problems in the Black community, but there's also some of those problems are problems that the Black community needs to help solve needs to at least work together with other people to solve for themselves. You know, Like, not everything is white people's fault. You know, if you are, and I hate to use black and white just as the only example, but that's just like the biggest example that's going on right now. You know, but I just hate to see activism get diluted by being overused. And maybe that's naive of me to think that that's not even possible. And I'm open, if that's the case, then I'm open to be corrected there. But I just hate to see, it's not like the boy who cried wolf. It's just like the wolf keeps crying boy. It's like the wolf just says, boy, 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 boy. You know, and there's never any real communication between the boy and the wolf. It's just the wolf keeps yelling boy. And at a certain point, it's like you can't hear the wolf yelling boy anymore, because they just won't stop yelling it. And you think that the wolf may have autism. And that's how we came back full circle on autism. And people say, well, Theo, you can't talk about autism. Guess what? If I show up on the spectrum, then I can. And if you want to put me to a test, I'll take it any day of the week, dude. You can blindfold me and put both my hands under a baby's ass and put a number 2 pencil in my mouth, and I'll fucking take that test with my tongue. And you'd be like, well, I don't know if you have autism. Well, only an autistic person could do that. So check yourself. Let's get to some of your thoughts and feelings right here. Here we go. On the NFL, take a knee.
You were talking about taking a knee for the anthem during football games. Now, I don't really see what taking a knee during a football game has anything to do with police brutality, so I don't really see the connection of the protest. However, as far as what my opinion is on them actually taking a knee, I think as a country we shouldn't demand patriotism from people.
Oh, it's interesting. Interesting thought. Like, yeah, patriotism, you can't demand that out of somebody, that they care about America. That's true. To me, that feels unfortunate that they don't, but it feels true that we shouldn't be able to demand it. Onward.
Demanding patriotism from people is the sort of thing that the Nazis and the Soviets used to do. Now, if somebody feels a general dissatisfaction with their nation and doesn't think that their nation deserves patriotism from them, then I kind of support their right to do that. However, at the same time, I kind of think the whole kneeling for the anthem thing doesn't really send the message of a protest against police brutality. Okay? And I love the podcast.
Yeah, it just seemed a little vague. It seemed a little vague as to what was going on and what was happening. But yeah, you can't demand patriotism. I mean, he's right. That's how a lot of, evility gets started in the world. You would hope that people have it, but I guess we're just in such a diverse and different and a time now where some people have it and some people don't. Maybe America's such a melting pot now where a lot of places you don't see that much patriotism. I'll be honest, here in Los Angeles, I don't see it very much. I can go seek it out. On Veterans Day, I can go to the cemetery, or on the 4th of July, I can go to an event. But otherwise, you don't see a lot of American flags here in Los Angeles. I think maybe some places are just so diverse, where some people, they don't care about America first even. I mean, I think some people do, but there's also a vibe in some places where they don't, and that's okay. Some people look at America almost as like an airport, it seems like, for the rest of the world, where you can come here and you can live here and you can shop here and you can get a hotel here and stay here, and then you can go back on to wherever, you care about more. I think that's a vibe in some places, but I think you just have to find a place then that reflects a little bit more of what you desire. Because then you can live in a reality that is a little more comfortable for you. I think you still should recognize that there are these other realities out there, though. But I don't think there's anything wrong with living in one where you think you're best suited for. All right, let's go on to another call here.
Theo, hey, it's Logan. Doing some weird stuff down here.
Okay, Logan, thank you for calling, doing some weird stuff down here. I don't know what that is, but I appreciate you checking in with us. Onward.
So you were asking about comments about the kneeling, and I thought I might try a different angle, see what you had to say. So a lot of times people want to, it seems America is mostly about convenience.
About convenience, he's saying. Go ahead.
So, like, you don't see people standing up at the bar when the national anthem comes on. You don't see people standing up at home when the national anthem comes on. I'm not necessarily going to comment on the exact kneeling, aside from I don't really disagree with it. I'm kind of in the neutral zone. Can't really do much harm. It's up to the owners. I mean, it's up to the owners and the advertisers. It's not my fight. They're using their field.
Okay, so he's saying that these players, if their owners are allowing them, the team owners are allowing them to do that, then, and that's where they want to use their stance to show uniformity and take a knee, then that's where they can do it. That it's up to the owners. And in the end, that's really true. I think if a lot of those owners started saying, you're not going to get a paycheck, I wonder how those people would adjust. Because there's a lot of people in Los Angeles who, were probably afraid to say that they were Trump supporters or were voting for Trump because afraid they would lose their jobs. Or in most of America or in different places, and vice versa. I'm sure there were a lot of people, in other places that were afraid to say that they were Hillary supporters. And that's unfortunate. I think that we're at a point where people, don't want to, or can't, that we can't even be open to other people's perspectives and views. I think if it's a dangerous perspective or idea, we can totally not accept it. But I think we still have to find ways to be able to hear it and to be open to it, because you might learn, you might change your mind. And change, I think, is always good. Even if you just change your mind a little bit and take a little piece of what they know or their perspective. I'm grateful right here because I'm thinking about some different perspectives because you guys are calling in with them. But that's true. He's also saying, like, how big of people at bars aren't standing up and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Could you imagine that if everybody in a bar? Now, in some countries, they may. I feel like if you get to some of these other countries, you're at an Irish bar or something and it's a soccer game, that they might really get down and put that hand on the chest. But I don't think that they're doing that here in America. But then that's part of the being at the game. It's like when you're at the event, that's where people do it. But I'm also thinking, like, I'm feeling that even after a week or so of this going on, that people are starting to lose, they almost just don't care what these players do. And not because they're black or not because they're white or because they're Latino. And it's only a few Asian players, I believe. But just because it's getting hack. It's getting old. It's getting old without us having more of a direction for solution. And I think that it's getting old just pointing fingers and not pointing the finger also at oneself to figure out how can we better, how can we better achieve the successes that we want in America. All right, let's grab another call on Take a Knee. Here we go.
Hey, Theo, this is Brant from Tacoma, Washington.
Hey, Brant, I appreciate you calling, brother. Tacoma. Now, that is outside of Seattle, probably about maybe 15 miles, and that is a little bit of cowboy country. And if you like pine trees and evergreens and cowboys at the same time, you can get that in Tacoma. Now, sometimes people think of Seattle, that's fish country. And that's up there. People, they got men even breastfeeding children and people shaving their chest hair and making wallets out of them and all that kind of stuff. A bunch of dream catcher addicts and people, eating homemade cinnamon made out of their own, skin flakes and flavors out of nature. But But if you get outside of Seattle, not even far, Tacoma is a little more cowboy country. So they might have fish out there, but they call it water cattle. That's what they call fish over there in Tacoma. They call it water cattle because that's the livestock of that salty H2O. All right, onward.
I have a comment about the NFL players kneeling before the game for the anthem. I think it's definitely another issue where the media is having another tool to exploit division in America. I think there's a lot of that going on right now. You can see it in the local news. You'll get some polls of people that are going to boycott teams, and half of them are saying they're going to boycott the season and the team, and half of them say that they aren't.
And that's a good point. Like the media doesn't even, if you notice with these polls now, it's half and half. A lot of the polls, it's always half and half. Really? That's striking because if they can keep it half and half, then they can keep it, then they can make it seem divided. And that's just interesting, man. It used to be a poll was a real poll. You know, and not since the election have I trusted any polls. I don't care who the poll is from. Because the problem is the people taking the polls and the people running the polling companies, the friends or the whoever they're even polling, they don't even, those people are just like people. You know, a buddy of mine runs a network here in Los Angeles, and he's telling me that, the first thing we do when we want to see if a show is good, we take it downstairs and we ask everybody who works in our company. Yeah, but 98% of the people working in your company have gone through the same schools or, friends of who are already in the company got them the job. It's like just asking the same person. That's why I feel like taking polls where you don't have an accurate group to take them from just doesn't end well. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating that the polls are always 50-50 now, and that behooves the media the most because it keeps people arguing. And that's not every case. I understand that. Onward.
It's a 50-50 divide, similar to what you're seeing with bipartisan affiliation and what people are doing there. You have the Charlottesville issue and just a lot of division in America right now, in the U.S. And the media is highlighting it. The media is supposed to be a tool that helps inform us, but it's certainly changed into something different to where it's entertainment and it's ruining people and it's giving us all false impressions of what's actually going on.
That's true. It's a good point. And I feel most bad. I appreciate you calling. And these are some good points. And I feel most bad, and that's not the right term, but I can't think of it right now. I feel most bad for seniors who are older, who are in hospice, who are, maybe their spouses passed away, left for heaven or wherever. And they've always thought that the world was a good enough place. And they thought that maybe they're leaving the world better for their children, or that they raised their kids right their whole life, or did the best they could. We'll say that. And then now here you have, and they don't realize that the news has turned into this, that the media has turned into this element that's not reliable, that's not just sharing information. And that's sad. That's sad because they think that then, I bet that causes a lot of depression in them. A lot of new senior depression because suddenly the world that they thought was a better place that they were leaving behind, it probably isn't as bad. But it looks that bad, and they don't know the difference, maybe because of senility, because they're not as in touch with the vibe these days. They don't realize that, some of what the media is doing is not healthy. But I agree. The polls are 50. Let's keep them 50-50. That way things are dividing. And I think that we are better than the media makes us out to be, than the news makes us out to be. I really do. And I think that these are good times. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I had lunch with Howie Mandel a month or so ago. And, he's been a friend of me for a few years now. And he said, this was right when the Charlottesville stuff happened. And he said, I'm happy that this kind of thing is happening. And Howie's Jewish, I think at least half Jewish, if you can even just be half. But He said, I'm glad this kind of stuff is happening because now at least you know who people are. You know, before maybe you didn't know where the guy across the street stood, you know, what his thoughts were, what his real feelings were, you know, but at least now there's at least a vibe where you do know, you know, some people are coming, feelings that have been hidden under people's brains are coming to the surface and making people think and making people act, you know, but I appreciate that call. Let's keep it cruising here. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. Calling about the NFL players kneeling. Now, I'm coming from a place of white privilege. I'm a white dude. So obviously I had white privilege growing up. My dad was, he was the 10th of 10 children.
Ooh, 10 out of 10. Dang, boy. That's that Postmaker's dozen, boy. 10 children. Onward. Postman's dozen. Onward.
Lived in a 2-bedroom house on a clay road in Alabama.
Oh, y'all got to get asphalt, man. If you don't have any asphalt, hit up some gypsies. If you got any gypsy friends that live out there in the Midwest or whatever, they'll sell you some bad to probably decent asphalt. Onward.
When I was born, he was making minimum wage. And he was supporting my mom and 2 other kids. He suffered from depression and anxiety. He died in his early 60s from drinking and drugging. But you know what my white privilege was is when my dad told me, son, I don't care if you grow up to be a ditch digger. If you do grow up to be a ditch digger, you'd be the best damn ditch digger there is. And that's my privilege. My dad told me to work hard. What I'm afraid is happening with these NFL players. I got these young, impressionable kids looking up to these guys. They're kneeling on the field, and the message they're taking home, the message these kids are taking home is, someone's out to get me. I can't do it. Why even try? There's a whole system against me. Why should I even try?
I appreciate your call. That's an interesting take. You know, if you're a child at home, if you're a black child, maybe even if you're a mixed child, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not these children. You know, I don't have these children. But could that affect the way if you see, you know, even your heroes saying that they don't have, that maybe your race doesn't have a chance? Or if you catch that vibe from some of this, could that be negative for them? Could that make them not want to work as hard? It could be. You know, it could be. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate that thought. Let's move on to another one. And look, I'm happy to have you guys' calls and thoughts here, man. And, you know, this is a big topic that a lot of people had thoughts on. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. My name's Shay from Indiana.
Thank you for calling, Shay. Indiana. And actually, I just got a call recently said that Indiana was not the home of the Ku Klux Klan, that it was actually somewhere in Tennessee. So I have to look that up. Wherever it was, bummer. Onward.
I served 12 years in the Army Infantry, and
thank you for your service. Onward.
I understand protesting, and I'm not unaware of the strife that African Americans go through with police officers in certain areas. And I agree, there needs to be something done. Police officers need to be vetted better, or trained better. Or, you know, sometimes they're just putting crazy people on the streets with a gun.
Yeah, that's true, man. You know, sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. You know, you wish that these guys got paid more. You know, you wish that teachers and police officers and public service, those people got paid more. You know, you also have, decades of police going into neighborhoods that are extremely scary, going into extreme high crime areas. So probably a lot of, PTSD from past experiences. I can't even imagine. In addition to racist cops, in addition to the fact that racism exists. And, there's a lot of thoughts on it. Onward.
But for me, when I see people kneeling at the anthem like that, you got to think about why we do the national anthem to begin with. Is it just an unknown ceremony? No. We're doing it to raise, to understand where you come from and the liberties and the freedoms that you have, because people did die. They lost limbs. They lost lives. They sacrificed their minds so you could live in a place like this.
That's a powerful line. They sacrifice their minds. It's a good line. Onward.
And I completely agree. I think we need to fix things. Things do need to be fixed. But if you're going to use your platform, use it for good, use it for positivity, and let's figure something out, and let's make people aware. Doing a senseless act by just kneeling, it just causes division and hate. But that's my high horse or my stand. Thanks, Theo.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it makes me. Yeah, I mean, are we helping? Is this helping? Are we finding solution? Because I don't think the media doesn't care if we find solution. You know, if we solve the problems in the world, let me tell you who doesn't benefit. Probably the news networks. Can you imagine if the world were good and comfortable? Would we even turn the news on if we knew that everyone was doing okay? You know, it makes you start to ask yourself, well, why do I even watch news? Am I addicted to the hatred? Am I addicted to the, to the negativity? Am I supporting it by the things I watch and the things that I, click on? I don't know. I do not know. All right, let's hear a little bit more. Let's take another call right here.
Hey, man. Why we don't have camels here in North America seems like they can live in the rest of the regular world in sand and, hot sun and just the sun burning the sand on their feet. And they can get all that water in them. I think they would do a lot better here. And
dang, bro. I appreciate the call. Yeah, why we don't have camels. Why we don't have camels here in America. That's a great question. It is. Because, you go to some of these other countries and they have camels. You go to India. Oh, you'll see a camel. Look out in the woods. You'll see a distant camel. You go to where else? You go to Africa. They got camels out there. If you got a hat made out of reeds, made out of reed pieces of greenery, a camel will eat your hat. First thing you standing there and you got a little bit of shade on your head. Next thing you know, the sun is hitting you and you hear something chewing nearby. And that's a camel just ate your hat. So they have camels out there. But in America, you get around here and it's not like that. And I think part of it is because we're not as natural. I mean, dude, you go to Africa, you get a rental car, they might have a fucking sloth in the trunk. You go to Nairobi and you get a pair of pants and you put them on, and they might have a couple of they might have a lizard or something in the crotch of them, an exotic lizard. So you get a lot of these different countries, you're going to see some animals. In America, you might just get a couple of pesky raccoons out there, throwing dice and fucking talking shit, and just fucking around in the garbage, making love by the garbage. We don't get as many wild animals. Now you get up into different parts out there to Montana, you might get some tigers. If you get you might get some mountain cats, even some aggressive lesbians if you hanging out by the gas station at night. Because I got accosted by a lesbian out there one time. I think it was pretty much a lesbian. Aggressive lesbians. Now, I'm not saying anything about all lesbians. This was an aggressive lesbian. Had a Dokken t-shirt on, this old band, Dokken. But they have, we don't have that natural, we don't have those camels running around, and I don't know why. I do not know why at all, but that's a great question, man. Why we don't have camels in the United States of America. Let's get them. Talk to Trump, dude. Trump will get you some fucking camels, bro. All right, let's hit another question here. Oh, and this question had to do with last week. It was if your girlfriend wanted to sleep with somebody else, if you got that offer, because someone on Snapchat last week called in with the offer they got. Let's hear this.
Theo, what's up, baby? Calling from, I'm going to keep my name out. I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
Toronto. Almost made love to an Indian woman up there one time, or pretty much a woman of age, but just outside of that. And I went to Halloween. I celebrated Halloween up there one time with the ShamWow guy, my buddy Vince Offer. We went to a party, and he ended up meeting a white girl that I think he ended up making love to. Onward.
Canada. Just wanted to talk about last week. If you've let somebody else sleep with your girl, or vice versa, maybe your girl's letting you sleep with other chicks, whatever.
Yep, you can find that on our 925 episode. Onward.
I don't know what if I've practiced the dark arts, as you put it. You put the dark arts. I'm a proponent of the dark arts. I might be an elder. I don't know.
Okay, see you out there, man. You Edgar Allan Go, boy. Onward.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, it started off totally healthy, as most relationships do. Everything's fun, everything's new and exciting, whatever. And as time went, you learn something about your girl. She's a freak. My girl was a freak. She's crazy. She was into crazy shit, and so was I. And you kind of awaken the dark arts in each other. So, okay, now you want to do threesomes. And then it turns to, well, why don't we just have an open relationship?
Okay, so now you open relationship. And that's when anybody can come through and shoot your doe. That's open season. That's hunting season. And that's when you're sharing your crops with the neighbors. And that's when it can get a little ornery when you look across that fence and see somebody else eating your vegetables. Onward.
Okay, so now we're shaking our heads like, oh, is this normal? Like, can we do this? How do we do this? And it practically ruined our relationship in the end of it. I was letting her...
Oh, man, I was almost hopeful for a second that you figured this out, that you had this. Let's keep going.
Sleep with other dudes. She got jealous and didn't want me to sleep with other girls. And then eventually, because of some deep-seated weird dark art that I had in a part of me, I started to like that she was sleeping with other guys. And she would film it, and we would watch it, and it was like a part of our relationship. But
wow, boy, that's crazy, man. I mean, you're in there then. If you're watching videos of other men with your lady, that's very, I want to say Roman, but that's even past that. You're past Roman. Wow. Let's hear more.
Man, that's not healthy, and I knew that, but I just couldn't help it. Things progress. You just get bored with the regular shit. So, I don't know. It kind of ruined our relationship, I think, in the end. She won't admit to it, but I think that's what it was. But yeah, let me know what you think about that.
Oh, man, look, I'd be lying if I didn't say some of it sounded fun. If it doesn't sound fun to be just, crawling down that dirty staircase on your hands and knees. And you know that each step below you, and you're going face first down that staircase, because when you get naughty like that, you face first. As a man, you're going face first. You're taking all your feelings and all your senses. Your senses are all in your head and in your fingertips. So you're taking all those face first down the stairs into the darkness. And you know that the devil built that next step. Each step built by, carpenter Satan, or carpenter Lucifer. You know that each one of them steps getting warmer and naughtier, slipperier. But you keep going hand first on your knees down that staircase, and your nostrils and your brain filling up with scents, filling up with the scent of musky women, in Best Westerns and, in private account credit cards. And cheap things of cocaine and, and people wearing fucking little outfits on their dick and all kinds of stuff like that. And you getting into some wildness, man. But you keep going, because that's the temptation. That's temptation, man. That's what that is. And look, I feel you. That can be fun, but that doesn't end well. That's the thing. That doesn't end well, or we would all probably be there. So now here you are, you're a little bit burnt out. You sound like you got some issues from it. But I just say keep climbing, man. Turn around. Keep walking up. I'm not saying you don't have to always be good. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying God's going to save you. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is that it doesn't sound like the safest environment. And that's why the struggle is where it is. That's why the struggle is to stay in the healthy relationship, or even if it's, to try and make a relationship healthy. That's why we're battling it out with your spouse. That's why, because you fighting that front lines. You ain't out there eating buttholes off the internets. Of random strangers off the internets with their buttholes. You're not doing all of that, And that's hard. It's hard not to do. It's hard not to do. All right, let's keep it cruising.
Yeah, hi, Theo. Hey, I just got done watching the 925 episode, and
thank you for checking that out.
As far as the kneeling at the national anthem, it just needs to stop. Entertainers have opinions. Football players need to play football. The NFL needs to play football and stay out of the political realm. Trump needs to shut his mouth and become a real president and stop talking a bunch of shit to people to get them stirred up. It's not helping anyone move forward.
I agree. I mean, just as much as the media does it, Trump does it as well. I mean, it's almost baffling where that comes from for him. I mean, it's just like a baby. It's like watching a tall baby with Twitter. Onward.
So this needs to quit. It needs to end. People need to come together and fucking stand up at the anthem and move on. We play football. That's what that's about. Entertainment. So I just wanted to pass that along. And
I appreciate that.
And as far as sleeping for payment, I'll tell you what, I was married 21 years, and at the end of my marriage, I would have paid someone $100 to sleep with my wife just to get her out of the fucking house. So keep up the good work.
There you go. That's love right there. And that's love, and that's divorce, and that's what happens there. You tip somebody who'd come in and take your wife out for a night on the town. All right. What else, man? I got some more stuff about girls and dating. We're going to get into that next week. I feel like we've already been into a really long episode so far. We got a bunch of great calls, and more of them will be on next week. I'm probably going to get into some stuff about dating. I've been dealing with some stuff in this therapy I've been going to. I've been dealing with some stuff about my issues lie when I'm unable to connect in a relationship. I even get caught up with, I got intimate issues, when it comes to being in love and getting, a comfortable, consistent level of intimacy. That stuff, that's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people. Dude, I'm telling you this. I'm sitting in a doctor's office the other day, and I'm talking to him about something that's okay. And I mentioned this, just in passing, just about I was going to a therapist. And out of the blue, this man closed the door, and then he started telling me the problems he was having at home. And this is a doctor. This is a doctor talking to me about the problems he'd been having, issues he having in his bedroom. And so, man, it's just they got people's out there dealing with that. People out there dealing. We afflicted, man. We're all afflicted. And that's okay. We've all got a problem, man. But you going to be out there hiding it? Or you going to be out there just saying what the problem is and how do you think we can solve it? Because you could wear the disguise if you want. You could put on the disguise. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. That's the disguise, man. That's your Halloween, bro. That's your Michael Myers outfit you wear every day. Or you could take off the mask, man. You could take off your mask and see if daddy recognizes you. You could take off that mask and show up. Show up with no mask on, no outfit, no costume. Show up to whomever, to your boss, to your spouse, and let them know what's going on. Let them know what's popping off inside of you. Be vulnerable. Sometimes you got to show up and be vulnerable, man. So, and that's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing for men to do, and it's a tough thing, I think, for ladies, too. Ladies getting confused. Ladies used to be our maps, I think at times for vulnerability. We would watch them and we would marvel at who they were. And now sometimes we've been led in directions where we don't know, we don't know where we stand. We don't know who's who anymore. It's a little bit confusing. That's okay. We just got to keep navigating, So if you Lewis, find your Clark. Get you a Clark. It can be a buddy. It can be a loved one. Get vulnerable with a friend, man. Share. We just fucking out here, dude. We out here. We out here in space. I don't have any shame, man. You want shame, you keep shame. I'm not holding on to that shit anymore. I appreciate you guys calling, man. I'm going to take us out right here. This is Spencer Jacob Growl Band with a song that I love from them, man. Celebrate Living.
Celebrate living, celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die.
Thank you guys very much, man. You guys be good to yourselves. I bet you deserve
Have
it.
some fun while we all die. Celebrate dark days.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great.
Hey, sweetheart, here's it Theo. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt-dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.